Lowe's knows how to get your lawn ready for spring. And right now, you can get up to $20 off select Scott's Triple Action Fertilizer. Plus, get a Cobalt 40-volt 15-inch string trimmer or leaf blower. Your choice, $149, only at Lowe's. Get set for spring. Visit us in-store or online today because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid 3/9 through 3/22. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
He's kind and he's funny and he's also mustachioed. He solves all your problems by the end of every episode. TV Dad. Everyone loves TV Dad. TV Dad. Unlike your real dad, he never hollers. And he tells you how Progressive can save you lots of dollars.
Listen to your TV Dad. Switch to Progressive and you could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
You got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fan. That's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Hey, folks. Welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd, and here with me I have Rich Latta. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Chilling. Just ready for an awesome show. Big news for you guys. I actually just discovered this today. But all the plugging and everything about our individual feed, the One Nation Radio feed, the hard work has paid off. They have approved your boys for the ad split stuff. So y'all basically have done a great job helping out the show. Appreciate you guys.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Shout out to y'all, the fans, and shout out to Rich being on this grind to get this done. Especially the fans. Thank you for for doing what we asked, but also Rich for being like, we need to get this done, and Rich pushing this. So Rich, top booker. He pushed for something and it was successful. Not everybody can say that these days, can they?
Yeah. If you guys haven't already subscribed to the Social Suplex YouTube channel, it holds all the shows, but like the One Nation Radio clips, which I think are kind of like those things are getting out there. Man, James, I don't know if you saw it, but the people, they definitely enjoyed the GCW slander.
They did. They sure did. Like, I saw a number of likes and I saw no thumbs down.
Look at that.
It's really hard to find a consensus. It really is of people like all disliking something. It's
all
really
in,
hard.
If you will.
But it was there.
Yeah. But I received some news. I don't know if you happen to see it from Monday Night Raw. I actually tuned into Raw earlier for about 15 minutes, and then I was just
was that late, huh?
It was a different world I was watching. Like no. I put this on probably around 8:20. Okay. So I watched the Montez Ford and Austin Theory match.
How was it?
And it was okay. I just was baffled. I was like, wow. Imagine if you brought like an alien here. Right. And then I was like, hey, this guy is named Montez Ford. This one's Austin Theory. Watch these guys wrestle. And then after the match, Austin Theory won. It was weird because Montez did all this flashy shit. Then it was like, well, it's time for me to stop doing moves. And then Austin Theory did his one move, his finish, and beat him. I was like, if I told the alien, which one of these guys do you think the company is pushing?
Right.
they would. I'd be like, really? Oh, you're pushing Austin Theory? Oh, that's strange. But they.
Well, I mean, the writing was on the wall for that last week. Like when I heard reviews for the show, when like Austin Theory basically like buried D'Angelo, buried Montez, says I want you, then I want you, and then says like, you know, y'all are likely to get cut next, you know, soon or something like that.
Oh,
and,
wow!
You know,
I hadn't heard.
And then like that's
that.
when, and then what I heard in the report was. Reports, because I've listened to more than one show for this, like Dawkins outshine Theory, and then Theory won, which is like, okay, they're going to really do this to Montez, and I was like, I bet they do. Did he win dirty, or was it clean?
No, it was a clean win.
Nice,
clean win.
Nice.
Then I caught some of Roman Reigns and Jey Uso talking to each other very slowly backstage, and it just felt very unnatural, and I was just completely like dry. I closed it out after that.
Gotcha.
But I was informed that apparently Dominic Mysterio beat Johnny Gargano clean tonight, James.
Well, one has a match at WrestleMania, right?
One would presume. I don't know if it's been announced, but thoughts? Same thoughts I had when I just heard that Austin Theory beat Montez. Like, it's fucking stupid. Like, whatever. Like, trust me, like, you know, obviously Theory beating Montez is not nearly as bad as Dominic beating Gargano, but whatever, man. His dumb ass wanted to stay, and he's happy, so good for him. Go out there and lose to Austin Theories and Dominic Mysterios and who I'm trying to think who else would he be losing to? That's embarrassing. You guys got any names? I wouldn't say Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross is, you know, he's big in this WWE, so I mean, Johnny has a match this week against Grayson Waller.
Oh, he'll lose that.
Or excuse me, at NXT Takeover or whatever they're calling it, Stand and Deliver.
Yeah, he'll lose that. It's Takeover, so he'll lose that.
Yo, so Johnny is coming back. I assume this is his actual NXT farewell.
This time is it? So this shouldn't be like the Johnny Gargano. This is it.
You know what? Now that you mention it, like they brought his old music back for the War Games and shit, and bro, it's like they're doing it again. Like,
oh, did they bring the music back in?
I think he has the different music, but I'm saying they're bringing him back again. Yeah, they're bringing him back again, and then it's like, oh, okay. And I saw something goofy as fuck on social media with like a home invasion, and I was
got his ass whooped.
Man.
He got his ass whooped in front of his son and his wife. Yeah,
I was like, yo, man. Then he's due to fight Grayson Waller, and
he should lose.
Yeah, he definitely should lose. Like, he should lose and come back to the main roster, but I don't know, man. You know,
like, isn't he more or less like fighting as like a proxy for Sean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I thought that they would debut Dragon Lee protecting Sean. No, they're just gonna bring Johnny Gargano back.
I mean, never mind. I'm gonna leave that alone because I think he may be
gotta come fight for his dad.
No, that. But I was like, if you're gonna bring Dragon Lee, then I think there's somebody you could also bring out along with Dragon Lee. But I think he may be gone right now. I don't think like Jose Lothario is with us anymore.
Oh my God! I'd have to check on that.
Never mind. So I stopped myself. But now I'm going to expose what I was thinking in my mind because, you know, I'm evil apparently.
Someone in the comments, please check if Jose Lothario is still with us. Super Sock, they used to call him.
Yeah, please do that. And we got to make sure the Catch can is still around.
You know, that Mexican wrestling that Bret Hart was talking about.
It's just ridiculous. Like, bro, will you hear people like Jim Ross talk in like 96 about Catch wrestling? I used to think like, oh, that's what Sean's doing. And last must be like, that's supposed to be like the special shit. And then like, you later find out what Catch wrestling is, and you're like, how are these two connected in any way, shape, or form? Like, what? Sean's out here taking these big, building towards these big bumps and whatever else, and bumping his ass off for these gigantic dudes. They ain't got nothing to do with catch wrestling. What is that? I've never seen Shawn Michaels put somebody in the sugar hole. You know who I have seen do that though? I've seen Timothy Thatcher put Oni Lorcan in a sugar hole. So yeah, man, I don't know. Yeah, passed away in 2018. Yeah.
Okay, Jose Lothario, rest in peace. But yeah, from Dragon Lee to Jose Lothario to another gentleman from Mexico. It is the debut. It has finally arrived, James. The El Hijo del Vikingo will be coming to AEW Dynamite for the long-awaited. Where's the drum roll? Dream match against Kenny Omega. Yeah. So, man, filthy discourse this week. Instead of, I did see hours and hours after this, a lot of excitement. Obviously, this match was supposed to go down in December of 2021.
Yeah, in AAA.
And
was he supposed to drop the belt?
I think he was supposed to drop the belt to Vikingo there. Vikingo's the champion now, but this does not look like it's for the title.
Makes sense.
So the cool thing is it's going to happen in AEW, so we'll get the superior production value, we think. And it'll be, we won't have to track it down through Lucha Blog or something like that. Yeah. And it's just like, man, I'm so excited for this match because rather than it happen in December 2021 where, Kenny was struggling physically, I think we all can kind of look at it now and say it was amazing. He made it even that far. But, since he's come back, I feel like he's like been, as great as he ever was athletically and everything like that. So this should be a match of the year candidate. Like, they just get out of the way and let them do their thing.
Well, in a year where he doesn't already have the match of the year, that pesky Ospreay Omega match gets in the way of saying things a match of the year too, because it's like, yeah, bro, that might be the best match we've seen this decade. So we can't even really, really be talking about that sort of thing. Like, I know Josh likes to go 50 deep into his match of the year contender thing. I don't. Like, I try to treat it like it's like sports. We like, all right. We are talking in this MVP race. We were talking about Giannis, Jokic, Embiid. Get Jason Tatum the fuck out of here. No disrespect to him. He's having a great year, but we're not here to talk about him right now. He's not on that tier. There's no point in talking about him. Like, if we are using a Heisman finalist discussion, he's not making it to New York, right? So let's not even bring up these sorts of matches. But yeah, man. It's gonna be hard to get into. It's gonna be hard to get into New York against to go up against Ospreay Omega. So whatever Ospreay and Vikingo got planned, it's gonna be great. But the bar is so high this year because of what is the what do you call it? The front runner, if you will.
Yeah, I Kenny has been. Ever since 2019, since he kind of like broke into Mexico, like he's taken like a Mexicutioner like persona. It seems like Dragon Lee, Phoenix, Pentagon, Laredo Kid. Now Vikingo is like
that match wasn't as good as Andrade as well. Yeah,
any Mexican can get it. Apparently, like Adrian Broner once said, this seems to be Kenny Omega's philosophy. But yeah, it was all good. Everybody was celebrating this match. Obviously, they booked it at the last minute because Vikingo's dates are kind of tied up otherwise.
It feels like he's always working.
Yeah. And, some discourse got started and, the usual suspects did their thing and, the where's the story? This is not a dream match, all this stuff. This preemptive throwing the water on the excitement. And all this did, I think this was kind of announced at the same time as Forbidden Door 2 was on Twitter. So I went ahead and reposted our "you don't have to listen to people pretending not to know who Japanese wrestlers are" clip. I was like, let's get ahead of it now. Let's before all these dumb conversations start all over again. And then with Vikingo, the it's not a dream match stuff, and it's one fucking guy dictating the discourse on this and then deleting his tweets like a coward when he can't take the heat. But unfortunately, like that, with the platforms and the reach, it's almost like when some shit gets really loud on a certain area of like the news, and then like the real news is like forced to like talk about it just because it's so loud.
It's like what do you call it? Like the kind of like the bombardment of what like the Trump administration was doing, and like to like new like cable news, where it's like there's something every single day, and there's so much is overwhelming, and it's like instead of talking about what's important from like a macro perspective, taking a breath, like you have to talk about the next, potential scandal type of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get you.
And I'm just like kind of tired of it. And it's like we keep falling for the same traps. Like I didn't say a thing about it. And it was just like, this is clear. There's a clear agenda going on. Let's figure this out together. Let's start learning what this looks like, because this feels calculated kind of. And I don't give a fuck what any of these people say. You're not about to like squash my enthusiasm for Kenny Omega versus El Hijo del Vikingo, because I know you know who Vikingo is. Right. I know that if you're online tweeting about wrestling, you've seen the GIFs, you've seen the clips, you've seen him ranked number 7 in the PWI 500. You've talked about it.
Which, to be fair, when it came out, what did we both say? He shouldn't be that high. Right, we both said that. So like, but we understand like the level of wrestler at his peak, as far as his like how spectacular he is. He's probably the best flyer in the game right now.
Yeah, like he's him. Like, and we already know what this is going to be. There's like, it's nothing but it'll be another guy that WWE tries to sign in a week after appearing on the television. It'll be another great match that isn't going to be coming from New York. So it's like, they want to get in front of those and tell you it's not, because now what the next play is that's going to be ran on this. Oh, it wasn't that good. Like that's coming next. So it's gonna like, I feel like we all know what to reasonably expect here, and
like he's gonna hit like a. Like he's gonna hit like an inverted 630, and like people won't know what to do. Like to the floor, like something outrageous is going to happen, and like that's kind of what happened with like the Commander ladder match, the brass ring match, right? Where it's like they did so much incredible stuff, in like, okay, so this was a miss. This was a miss.
Yeah, I hate
There's a million matches. It doesn't matter the style. After a certain amount of time, I'm going to forget everything I watched over a 30-minute or 30-minute, 20-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute runtime, right? But anytime somebody does like a match with spectacular stuff, the first thing people go to is people won't remember what happened in the match 5 minutes from now. I don't remember what happened in the match where they did nothing 5 minutes ago. What's your point? What is that? You know what? Like when I watch an NBA regular season game, you know what? I should remember every single possession. Right? That's the logic they're coming up with, right?
You should be like LeBron James. You should start calling out stuff that happened 8:32 into the second quarter, and defensive switches and shit.
Right. Yeah, man. Like, so it's a lot of that stuff, and it's like, look, man.
How does this grow the audience? How does it's just like,
beat up, and he has mixed emotions, but he still is like, I'm still going to get my own, right?
Like then all companies will be doing the same thing,
right?
Like if it was this clear on what grew the audience, everyone would be ripping each other off left and right, and there would be one style of pro wrestling, because nobody would like tamper with the success and gamble otherwise,
right?
Like, they know what AEW is. The AEW is not like, they don't want to be WWE. So why do you continue to heap these things that WWE would want to do, or like how WWE has trained you to watch wrestling, why do you consistently think that AEW should do these things? Like the fans that Tony Khan is after, they get it. It's okay, buddy. You don't have to argue for this made up person that
right. And also, like, it's WWE. They don't announce their full cards almost ever. They just put matches on the shit all the goddamn time. So why is announcing a match supposedly like, this is a big mistake? You're giving away this big match. One, the people of his ilk or in his kind of like let's say circle would be like, who the fuck is this guy, right? But then on the other end, it's also this guy who, in good faith, knows that he's really fucking good. Is going like, you're wasting, the potential of doing X, Y, and Z with him. Not really, because no one knows who he is. They will know come Wednesday because he's going to be incredible.
Right. And it's just amazing. Like, we just saw last year, they didn't have a WrestleMania Night 1 main event announced.
I mentioned that, and like his next thing I know, his tweet was deleted.
Would you look at that?
Yeah. I'm not saying that I caused him to fold, but I'm saying like there were lots of people making great points about like why it's not a big deal, and eventually he folded.
Love that for us, but Omega.
This is why I will give Rod Geary, right? Like, you say he folds like coward. Like, I will say this: if people give him enough stuff to say, "Hey, you're wrong on this" or whatever else, then he'll delete it. Like, that's much better than leaving up like Ryan Satin talking about how Pat McAfee humanized Vince McMahon, serial rapist.
That's true.
That's still up.
True.
I haven't looked in a while, but like last time I checked, it was still up.
Go ahead, use that mute button when your notifications get too crazy. Go ahead, just shut it down, but leave it up for us.
Yeah,
don't run from it.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, I'm very excited about the match. This is Kenny's first singles match on Dynamite since he wrestled Alan Angels, ironically in the same building, and it is also in the same building as Kenny Omega versus Pac. So this Independence, Missouri seems to be a nice building for Kenny Omega.
Did you say Alan Angels? And were we just talking about Ryan Satin a second ago?
Wow, look at that. Look at the synergy.
Oh man. Yeah. Like you had mentioned, like if everybody knew how to do this and that would just become the process, right? Like Damian Lillard was just on last week on JJ Reddick's podcast, and both of them were talking about like what time in their careers they kind of realize like this 3-point thing is like it has to go to the next level and it's going to continue to go, so everybody has to catch up. And they were both talking about like the 2018 Rockets team, and they were saying like, bro, like we're going down the court and like we're getting good looks and we score, like we're scoring, we're playing well, and then we look up and we're down 17. We're like, what the fuck? and then JJ was like, it happened to me with the same team. And I remember we scored on 4 or 5 trips or 3 and 4 trips, and we were down 11 at the time. After we did all that, scoring 3 and 4 or 4 and 5, we were down 16. Like, you have to start shooting 30-something threes a game or you're done. Like that, you're losing to math. You're not losing to the level of play. You're losing to the math. And like, if there were something as like flat out like empirical as the math on you need to shoot more 3-pointers just based off of the true shooting percentage output, right? Then these companies will all be doing it and doing it in their own way to kind of keep their identity as promotion, but also make sure they get that money, because this is a capitalist society we live in. These people didn't become billionaires or were, let me phrase that. These people weren't Nepo babies from people that had a bunch of money, Vince included, by just not like knowing how to, or not wanting to make money, right? Like they want to do both. They want to have their vision and also like have it not, get dropped. So yeah, like people got to come to like some reasonable like sense on like, yeah, there's not really answers on this. Like we think we like people, they try stuff all the time. AEW tries stuff all the time. If they have it, and they're gonna keep trying until they find out that the analytics on it, right? Like the perfect, the perfect
no
little
that
like
guy, Tony Khan.
I gotta do this segment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way through 16 to hit the jackpot, and then he'll do it every single week. But it hasn't quite been figured out yet. The chase for perfection continues.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely looking forward to the match. But yeah, it is the birthday of a legendary hip hop producer Mannie Fresh, of Cash Money and his own everything he did after leaving Cash Money. So I believe he turned 54 years old today. So like you talk about someone being the architect of a certain region of rap, doesn't really get more clear in that definition than Mannie Fresh. And also, like, from some of his like rap songs that he's on, he's just absolutely hilarious.
Yes.
And a complete unserious individual who you should not like take seriously at all, but it's pure comedy. But James, talk about Mannie Fresh.
I remember the example I'll give is I remember one time Jeff Fisher was talking about like the Steve McNair, Eddie George era Titans that went to Super Bowl, won multiple times made the playoffs multiple times in a row, and he mentioned like they say that like like the passing game is keep creeping up upon us, but like I think Eddie we keep feeding Eddie George the ball, and Eddie George averages 4 yards per carry, and if you run the ball on first down, second down, and third down, that's 12 yards. That's a new set of downs. That was more or less what he said. And we talk about like some of the workhorses and running back in NFL. Like Mannie Fresh is one of the absolute biggest production workhorses in history of hip hop. Like for the longest, it was him. And then like about 2000 or so, 2001, Jazzy Faye started pitching in. He's more like closing. Like he was helping Mannie with some of the stuff, even landing like placements. But all of that stuff at the beginning from like 98 that you heard until like about 2001 was all Mannie. And all those albums from like the Hot Boys albums, the Big Timers albums, Juvenile, BG, Wayne, it was him. And that has to be an exhausting task. Like think of how we have, rightfully, like, not just us, but like a lot of people have like given their flowers to Hit Boy for the work with him and Nas on the King's Disease series, right? Those 3 albums,
yeah,
right? Mannie was doing that like 2-3 times a year. And I'm not saying like, I'm not talking about there should be like, what do you call it? There's some type of like, low management or producers these days. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying like, he was at the forefront of so much like inspiration to go out there musically and like just complete games. And he was just awesome. And like for me, I don't know where he ranks historically for me all time. I just know he's somewhere in my top 5, like somewhere around it. Like for me, Timbaland will always be my favorite producer of all time, any genre of music. And I often like flip through people after that, but like my favorite Southern rap producer of all time will always be Mannie Fresh. Like I don't know what would have to change that. Unless you can want to say, well, what about Timbaland? He's from Virginia. Yeah, but I don't really. That Missy stuff isn't necessarily like stereotypically Southern, if you catch my drift, right? Like I think Pimp C would have some thoughts on what's on like Timbaland's clock when he talks about the South.
Yeah. So like one of my most popular YouTube videos is a video where I'm actually talking about how to make a Mannie Fresh style beat. Because I kind of like to consider myself a chameleon kind of at this point, like any kind of style I'll dip my toes in to see if I can figure it out.
Is that when you recreated Cash Money as an Army?
Yeah, I did that after.
Okay.
Like I did one that originally sounded like Back That Ass Up for the YouTube channel, and then you were like, see if you can remix Cash Money as an Army, and I kind of basically just made my own knockoff version of it.
Yeah, I ain't like that shit. I was like, that shit felt personal. I was like, okay, he out trying to, like, this, Rich, you been down here a long time. I was like, this goddamn yank up here want to come down and act like this shit is easy. I felt disrespected. Yes, like full on Mannie Fresh. I literally I identify with Mannie Fresh in his production. Yes, I make fun. I make fun of the wrestling fans doing their promotions. I was doing that with Mannie Fresh. Yes.
Yeah. But like I was talking about kind of the things that like that made up his beats, and I've kind of found myself subliminally kind of like, you know, having watched his genius breakdown of the Back That Ass Up, how he made that, and I pretty much just kind of said, you know, stole exactly what he was talking about using the quick snappy drums and like a lot of the 808 stuff. And, you know, how he uses pianos with everything. Everything sounds real clean.
Yes.
For some of the stuff that I like from Mannie Fresh. And it was just, you know, when I was making that, I was like, man, like he was figuring all this out. And then I saw some video where he talked about it. And now, like, I think if Mannie Fresh came along now, it would be even easier for him. But he was doing everything he was doing with 8 sounds. Now, think about like, you know, your kick drum, your snare, clap, 808. That's 4 right there.
He might
any percussion, right?
Right. He might have figured out a way how to stem that all into one track. I don't know. So
he was using an SP1200.
So probably not then.
Yeah. So and then after that, he had like 3 or 4 sounds to play with. All that early stuff, everything in the 90s was like that.
Yeah.
Or freaking Back That Ass Up, like he was talking about. I was blown away, and I was like, man, I was like 8 sounds, and then I was thinking about a lot of my beats, and they're like 8, 9, maybe 10 sounds. But like the thing is, I can add as much as I want after that.
Right.
You couldn't,
and that's the part that makes like creating with depending on like the technology and the time frame you're in and the time you came up. That's what makes like that era of producers and DJs, like that DJ producer kind of thing, like that kind of like ingenuity and say, I'm going to try things and like I'm going to run sets here, there, so I know what records work and I know what records and formats work and I know how to format to play for parties or for clubs. And then you take that shit and then you put that in the format in your records. Like I remember, I think it was, I was watching a Swiss and DJ. It was before Versus, but it was like during the pandemic, I think it was like, or maybe before that, it was like some Swiss and Just Blaze, like back and forth, where it was basically like a proto version of Versus. Mm-hmm. And they were playing records back and forth. And it was like, it was a game of chess. And then all of a sudden it was like, Just Blaze plays, Beyonce Freedom. And then like Swiss is like, oh, you fucked around and went into Beyonce. You got one Beyonce song. I got half an album. Right. And it's interesting to think about like how that plays in a club and like that back and forth. And then like thinking about like that era of DJs mattering and mattering less, like in hip hop, as far as like going into production and going into shopping records and then like the whole like DJ networking thing and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that it's the worst thing in the world that is kind of been weeded out, because like obviously like that was, you know,
hard to break
similar
through
to radio stations.
Yeah.
But like the idea that these people know what works in certain regions or in certain places, or whatever else, so they can put it into their particular records that are for local artists, and and then go from there. And then like, I just think like, and then like I don't want to romanticize the death of scratching and all that kind of stuff in records, but it's like that stuff's not existent now. And like it gave so much life to these records that we grew up on.
Everything coming from Trigger Man, like that comes out of New Orleans, all that shit gets sampled off of and slowed down and sped up, and everything, it just gets put
right,
the DNA that, and Mannie Fresh figures like this shit out essentially.
Yeah.
Like between him and a couple other producers in New Orleans. But it's Mannie Fresh going back to the 80s, literally.
Yeah, and man, like he just like you mentioned, like the simplicity of how clean it sounds was. I think that's because of like, if he was, been our age, he could have been overwhelmed and thrown, and we always hear about tons of producers, Brian Michael Cox or whatever, talking about like, when I was younger, I used to just throw as much stuff into records as I could or whatever else. And then like he realized like that stuff's in the way. That stuff gets harder that stuff makes the mix muddier. That stuff like, confuses like listeners to what is like the theme of the record from a melody standpoint or the harmony standpoint. And like Mannie, slugged in / knew all of that stuff. And like, I listened to his records and, or his production stuff. And like, I remember like Daria, for example, MTV, like when they used to go in and out of records or in and out of commercial break, they would play instrumentals and they would always seemingly play Cash Money instrumentals. And like, I would always hear those instrumentals. I'd be like, these are like perfect, like not even like as for like the songs are great. But like just as like just compositions of music, they sound perfect and they fit together and they sound clean and they all like, it just works. And like, it's almost like a Motown level, like quality of like how well all that stuff fits together, almost like an assembly line. And like, for him, it had to be like that because he had to do so much shit for people. And I just think that like,
practice.
I kind of think it's, like when we think of like the Southern producers, like we think of like Paul and Juicy J and like Lil Jon and him, like in particular, like I think they kind of, maybe not Mannie as much, but I think that like John and especially John of those three, like never really got their due as like the kind of producers they were. As far as
I'll
being
tell you
like,
why
they're
for
doing
Mannie,
Southern stuff, but like if they were put in LA, they could have made this work. If they were put in Detroit, they could have made this work. If they were put in Chicago, they could have made this work. It's just a certain talent and an ear and the DJ stuff added to it to where they could have figured it out.
And think about how long, I think some of that goes in how long like Cash Money essentially kept Mannie Fresh segregated from everybody else. Couldn't work with nobody else. So like, like, and Cash Money didn't exactly like collaborate with everybody in the earlier days.
Yeah.
So like it took a long time for Mannie Fresh to start like branching out. Right. And then it was just more like, oh, he's got a bunch of songs on the radio. He's got Jeezy songs on the radio. He's got T.I. songs.
Right.
He's got Wayne or later Wayne stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I asked James to make a list of his top 5 Mannie Fresh beats. Or his 5 favorite Mannie Fresh beats, and I'm sure he was stressed out doing so. I wrote 5 as well.
I didn't know it was his birthday, but you asked me, and I was like, huh. And then I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna be able to figure out. I'm not gonna be able to cut down, and then I'm gonna like start. And then like immediately what happened was I started thinking of records that I would put on it. Like what's the honorable mention? And then I'm like, ah, shit. Now I'm at a point now where I'm gonna have to do honorable mention for like the top like. The top 5 Wayne songs, and then like the honorable mention for that, and then top Juvenile. And I was like, why would you do this? You should have known this was going to happen to me. So yeah, like I basically said, you know what? I'm just going to just go with what are like the records for me that like I heard them and I was like, I wish I had made that the most. So that's what I went with. You have a list too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you go first?
Sure. Number 5, number 1 stunner. So
that is also on my list. Yes.
Man, I like the drums on this beat because it's the same drums that they use in the Biggie "I Got a Story to Tell." I believe it is an Al Green song. It is also a Rakim song called like Mahogany. It's the same drums, but he sped them up, and then it's just like. Dun, 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 dun. It's like superhero music almost, and a lot of great keys on there and everything else, and just you can put that beat on and for anybody anywhere across the country and be able to rap on it. It's tight.
Yeah. So I don't have it ranked. I just have a 5, and then after that I had a space, and then like all the stuff that is like I just like I wish I put on there. But I'm just gonna say this is a record that I don't think a lot of people heard, but like this is on the Mannie Fresh solo album. This was Wayne's Takeover #1. The guitar work on it is amazing. And this is at a time when like we talked about like how as a composition and the breakdowns and like I didn't mention this, but like with Mannie Fresh, like his use of like live instrument players into his production for the stuff he just could not do, to go with a sampler with whatever he had laid down. And then like the thing that also like we mentioned the DJ scratches and stuff and things, but like his ability to continuously come up with different drum rolls or whatever else to keep the song feeling fresh, as opposed to like, you know, you hear, okay, this is the intro, this is the first 8 bars, this is the last 8 bars, this is the hook, and it kept it, you know, like that variation like livened up the records for me, and like that was the way like a lot of his stuff for me was like I was so impressed by like how did he think of, you know, he's playing a whole record, he has all of his tracks in, and all of a sudden he's like, add this snare fill here, and it's like that snare fill, that drum is not in any other part of the record except for, you know, the last 2 bars of the end of the second verse, and it's like this dude is just like his thought of what he's putting into a record was just, I thought was just special. So Wayne's Takeover, just incredible guitar work, live instrumentation, just, and with that is like that kind of composition and thought he put into those records. Like this is just Wayne just basically like, I think going like 32 bars, just there's no hook, there's no nothing. It's just like, it's played off like an interlude skit where like Wayne's on the studio with the engineer Faye, and he's like telling Fee like, "Hey, wait, Mannie didn't want me on the record. They told me to come in here because they need me on it, but like Mannie said he didn't want no cussing, shooting, violence, bitches stabbing bitches, all violence and all that kind of stuff." And then like he plays as if like Mannie had just walked into the studio, so he's like, "Hey man, play something." And then he starts just going, and I like, but the production is just incredible. Like. To think of what was in the era at the time, like it is like Lil Jon doing a very good damn rendition of like Rick Rubin 80s guitar tracks or whatever else, and then you hear this and it's like he's so fucking good. So yeah, check it out. Wayne's Takeover on the Mind of Mannie Fresh.
Number 4, Bling Bling. A very happy, jumpy instrumental. It's just like you have no choice but to smile because you start thinking about bling bling, and then like those weird kind of synths that kind of sound like what is that like and then the tempo is like I love the tempo of it, and you know it's real up tempo, and just another very clean sounding instrumental, and it comes and breaks down beautifully into the chorus, and I think it's just like it's another throw a beat on beat.
Yeah, I also was like, when are we ever going to hear anything like that again? Not to say like the sound is so like outrageous. It's not like listen to some like, you know, B-side Timbaland beat on a Missy album where you're just like, what the fuck is this? But it's like, this sounds clean. I don't think we'll ever hear anything, because we haven't heard anything like that, you know, over 20 years since that sounds like that. Same thing for like Shine, for example. But I guess I'm just going to Juvenile Ha. When I first heard it on the radio, I don't know what it was. I was like, this is incredible. The hook is like the flip from what is the verse to the hook. Like it just sounds incredible, and like it's almost like the mood changes too in it, and but it's incredible. And then like the bounce, and I don't think I really had ever heard like the bounce feel before, and it was just an incredible record, and that was a lock. Like number 1 Sunday and Howard locks for me on this thing. It had to be on there.
Number 3, Go DJ. So this is, for me, this is like the hardest Mannie Fresh beat that I think I ever heard. Like, where it's just like some shit is bamming and it's slower, but it's like a slower version of a put a beat on beat. Okay. And just playing with those like those kind of bell sounds, like it sounded like a video game, alien type shit. Like it was like what is this? Like, and then like he was like real clean with the drums. Like this is another example. Like and the songs that are above this also really clean with the drums, and his 808s are disgusting on this, and it's just like this is like kind of like the end of Wayne and him working together, kind of, and it was like, what a better way to go out.
Yeah, like another one you could have thrown on here for honorable mention along with this would have been like Bring It Back. Like that was incredible too. Yeah, like Carter One production, like is like the singles anyway, is like before we figured it out, he figured it out like if you play an 808, and he had already done this from even going back to Still Fly, like if you play the octave above like what was traditionally considered like the booming 808 where you need a system and it just crashes the whole block, like if you play it higher in different systems, it sounds great. He figured it out as early as 2001. And now everybody does. Now that's a standard. Yeah. In that way, he's a genius. Number for me, Finn, like you said, like you think it's like the hardest beat. For me, when I first heard this, I thought it was Manny's like hardest beat, where it's like the block is hot, Lil Wayne. The pizzicato strings on it. The vocal sample in the background that almost sounds like DJ Combo. Yeah, that almost sounds like DJ Combo from Killer Instinct for no fucking reason. Right. The startup of the beat, it sounds like a almost like a heartbeat, like a rhythmic heartbeat just starting up, like a revving up, and then going. The drum rolls on it, like it's just an incredible beat. And like if I were a person that were to do things like rap over certain eras records for mixtape purposes, I would pick this and I would go over it. But I am not Rich Lotta and it's not time travel, but I would that'd be one of the first things I go over is rap over Block Is Hot.
Number 2, back that ass up. Orchestral music meets bounce music, and like
and
this
ass was thrown.
Yes, lots of ass thrown. Mannie Fresh had been building up to making this beat for 10 years. Like it was just everything that was perfected about bounce music was in this beat, and it was like, oh. Like the Trigger Man stuff's there, the clean drums, the orchestra samples, the pianos, the tempo, the hi-hats, and the hi-hats are why it all like makes it come together. And it's just like you could picture like, motherfuckers like
a 4-piece quartet that like would normally be playing a wedding at the in the right place in New Orleans. At the right gig, would be playing this instead on the side. So, or maybe at the reception. Who knows? But yeah, absolutely. And to move on from, you have more to say or?
That's just great. And also like that little flash that they have in the beat. It's like, dun, dun,
yeah, the hit, yeah. That's reverb, yeah. So you mentioned like this could be played live instrument. This could be recreated and played like T.I. Top Back. This could absolutely be played by HBCU marching band. It's an anthem. I don't know how it ever happened. Like obviously this wasn't his first like work with T.I. because obviously he had the greatest from Urban Legend, but it's like the T.I. stuff was kind of like the first few times it was like, wow, he's working with someone outside of Cash Money. What's going on here? And this was their best record. And I remember, like, when I first heard King, like, because of the build to get to the drums was so slow, I was like, okay, this sounds great, but, like, what is this an interlude? I would skip it. And then I remember Kendrick was like, James, I know you don't have any patience for records. Notice how me listening to music that also, like, fits with my lack of patience for, like, going through, like, slow builds or slow burns or builds for matches. Like, he was like, listen to it. Like, do you know who produced that? I was like, nah, Mannie did it. Oh, okay. Played it. And then, doom, 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 doom. It was over. The piano is incredible. The pizzicato strings are incredible. The low synth at the bottom is incredible. The 808 is incredible. Super clean. Like, it's just fantastic. It's just fantastic.
Number one, top back. Number one, top back. This was when I heard T.I. was like, yo, I'm gonna show these niggas what to do with one of your beats. This was like, as you mentioned, he was fresh off of Cash Money, and it was like, how the fuck did they let this nigga out like with the business going bad like this? I felt like Mannie Fresh wanted to send a statement. He sent it through T.I. essentially. T.I. all he had to do was not fuck it up, and he fought around and gave us a classic on it too. So, but yeah, this is like the more gangster version of like bat that ass up. It was like perfect horns.
Yep.
A horn sample. Like, you've never heard better horns on a rap song since, I don't think. Maybe like What's Up Was Happening, maybe like shit like that. Like, but it's just like perfection, like sound perfection on these songs. And it was like the drum rolls, and also how he just changed the mood on the song. It goes from triumphant to evil to like kind of like something that gets your blood pumping. And it's like all these 3 or 4 things are all happening in this same song, and it's just like, this nigga's a genius. Like,
and then like the remix is interesting because like he puts Jeezy on there, who had just, you know, a year earlier, like just had like one of the all-time classic like horn like records all time with like Trap Star. Yeah. That's not a coincidence. Like, obviously T.I. and Jeezy were going to do work together. They already did, you know, but like that's not a coincidence. They say, hey, I need you also on this. And then you also have, you know, Young Joe on the remix. Bitches know they love the platinum. It's great like grandpa. Oh my God. One day we are going to find out when Young Joe's birthday is, and we're going to go over our favorite Young Joe bars. Cause you know, I can do that for like an hour. But,
the Young Joe retrospective.
Yeah.
One day.
But yeah, for me, my top back was Another Lock along with Ha. The first thing I thought of was Number One Stunner. The man, like, the breakdown, like going like out of like the first 4 bars or going into like the like bar 8 through whatever else when they use the mandolins, is like, why the fuck does he even know what a mandolin is or sounds like?
Yeah. It sounds like you're in a restaurant or something.
The drums, it's just it takes you on a ride, and it's just incredible. Like, I'm not saying that people don't do this now on their records, but like but Timbaland and him were like just so great at like breakdowns and like with minimal sound, seemingly, or like feeling of like not necessarily emptiness. The song sounded full or sounded like great. The sound sounded incredible. Like everything had a perfect place together, and like it gave room for everything to breathe, and it didn't feel like over the top of each other. It was awesome. Yeah, man. Number One Son had to be on here for me.
Happy birthday, Mannie Fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so moving on, there was a report that came out in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer, that talked about the WrestleMania Night 1 main event that is being reported to be Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's Championship. I don't even think Charlotte's defended this belt yet, maybe once since she won it. Okay. Not sure. She hasn't been on pay-per-view. But yeah, what do you make of this, James? I'm looking at it, and it was also said this is due to political reasons, and I have some questions myself, about this thing. And with Charlotte, you can never underestimate their want to push her, whether it's to juice her own gimmick stats up, essentially, just to, surpass Ric Flair and all that stuff. Or they're using it to send a message that she was always the greatest woman. See, Mercedes Moné has moved on. So they're going to give Charlotte more accolades and start writing this history a certain way. It's all already been happening anyway. It's just going to kind of get more blatant. And if this is true, she'll become the first woman to main event 2 WrestleManias, even though no one would believe or no one wanted her in the first one. And then most people do not see the second one possibly as a main event. And I think it's important to note night 1 is a fake main event anyway. So, no, but never mind that. I'm wondering in Charlotte's case if promises were made, with her facing Ronda Rousey last year. They didn't get to go on last, and they pulled that Steve Austin thing out of nowhere. Is this a makeup? Because we've heard Charlotte, having promises kept to her in the past, about why she was in that triple threat in the first place, and it all stinks around her. In this feud, I think they did a pull apart the other day. Rhea Ripley's like a heel, but everybody's going to cheer her anyway. Charlotte's babyface, and we know how that works.
Long term, yeah.
Why are they doing this?
Why are they set for this?
Yeah, why are they set to do this? This could change, we're not whatever, but based on what the people that normally get this stuff right say,
yeah,
this is what it looked like.
Yeah, initially, talking to people after seeing the news, I didn't really have many thoughts on it other than okay, this is it. But the immediate response I saw from people was the main event for night 1 should be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And once people said it, I was like, they're absolutely right. But the report is the report, and we've seen things that should not be in the main event of WrestleMania or whatever be the main event of WrestleMania. So, what it should be and deserve and all that kind of shit ain't got nothing to do with anything.
Deserve got nothing to do with it.
I didn't even think about the Snoop thing. But yes, you did tweet that out last week or a few days ago. And it's just really weird. The response from people that and the people that they made the response people that are still, very much into what WWE is doing right now. And I was almost maybe it's because I'm detached and this kind of stuff is the reason why I don't follow them more closely. I can be yeah, this is what they do. Look at the recent history.
These are the telltale signs.
Yeah. So Finisher was that doesn't match the booking. And I was and then my immediate thought was, well, the booking going into WrestleMania 34 was that Braun Strowman was going to win that Elimination Chamber. That didn't happen. Roman Reigns won, and then he fucking lost, which shouldn't have happened either. So, stuff happens all the time that, for no rhyme or reason, just because things happen here. As far as the match, I think for their sake, it should main event because whatever emotional thing that if the tag match is on night 1, whatever, that will carry the day for the crowd emotionally. So then they have to follow that at a certain point, or maybe it's so early in the show that maybe they love to, throw a bunch of shit on, making people, cool down the crowd so they get back up. But I don't know what they could possibly do in this amount of time to make people be into Charlotte and Rhea in that way. And also for me, and if they wanted to, right? If that is what your main event is and that's what your plan is, fine. Build it out to where people start feeling, to where their fans feel that way, right? Bookers always have ideas of what they want to be their marquee matches or whatever else, and it's up to them to, with the help of the talent and their execution, to get it there, right? That happens everywhere.
Right.
I don't see the effort in that kind of way to make people feel that way for this match. And also fundamentally looking back at the entire story arc of the people that like are okay with this match with Rhea and Charlotte as opposed to them just doing like the future of Bianca and Rhea, them doing Charlotte and Rhea is like, well, they had that WrestleMania match 2020 and it was like, okay, so let's go back. Let's go back to 2020.
This shit ain't connected at all.
And Rhea is NXT champion. She comes out after Charlotte wins the Royal Rumble and says, challenge for this. Right? And then they tell the story that she got the NXT, or she got the Mania Classic, got the NXT, and they're immediately, because she's blonde and she's tall and statuesque physique, she was immediately compared to Charlotte Flair. So then she changed her look and all that kind of stuff to differentiate herself, to build her own identity. And she went out there and they had a great match. And at the end, she fucking tapped out. To then go from there, and at the time, everybody was saying, hey, this is fucking stupid, Triple H. Why did you put Charlotte in here? It's only going to hurt Rhea. And his response was, there's a long-form story with this. Well, if this is a long-form story, her redemption will be as a bad person with a group of, Satanists, for lack of a better word. Like, what do they call it? The Doomsday Device? Or not what's the name of them?
The Judgment Day.
The Judgment Day.
Yeah, you see, like, when it's Judgment Day, it's to atone for your sins.
Right. She's a heater. She cheats all the time. Like, and she's over as a heater or whatever else. They put her in that China role, which Triple H obviously harken back to things he knows how to make work from the past. But it's like, they had Bianca go out there and lose in like a minute to Becky at SummerSlam, and then she got it back and got redemption. That is a perfect way of telling the story of falling and then coming back and succeeding after you fail. This is, she lost to the biggest cheater in the game, and the only way to beat a cheat is to become a cheat. What a great story. What an awesome story.
Makes you wonder about the Ronda Rousey element on this and how she's been in and out and yanked out of this essentially. Like, all the stuff with Charlotte and Rhea Ripley has always felt like it's never been about them. It's about external forces at play. Like, thinking back to the match they had at WrestleMania 36, it was like, if Charlotte wins the Royal Rumble, right? But they clearly didn't want to have her like work with either of the other two people, so they like just picked Rhea Ripley and just made Rhea Ripley run out there. Like, it's so dumb.
Who were the champions at the time? I can't even remember.
Do this. I think Becky was a champion.
Yeah,
and they couldn't do Charlotte and Becky again.
Yeah, because after WrestleMania 35, they went right back to it with like the double match with like her and also Lacey Evans.
Yep. Yeah, and I think maybe Bayley had the championship or something like that. Like, it was like a 5-way match, or Sasha had the championship.
Okay.
Or something like that. Like, and it was like a 5-way elimination at WrestleMania, and it was like Naomi, Lacey Evans, Sasha, Bayley, and one other person. Maybe Nia Jax or Tamina. It might have been Tamina. And it was like, well, you're not going to send Charlotte to SmackDown, and man. Oh man. Wow. They hit Cody with that reel, huh? Amazing. But yeah, like, Charlotte and Rhea Ripley never seems like it's about Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. It's always like some course corrected thing that like we couldn't book a match we actually wanted to do, and we're just going to do this now. And it's like, it never feels right. Right. And it doesn't feel like, also another part, like the whole Charlotte thing, like, Charlotte is 5'10", and she always comes out in heels when she knows her opponent is not going to come out in heels. So it make her like she's fucking 6'3", and she's meeting up face to face with whoever. And it's always like, why would you take this terrible, like,
business move thing from like Stephanie McMahon, but because Stephanie McMahon's not actually a wrestler, she's just, she's a heater, right? She's a plot device. She's not actually got to get in the ring and got to sell like the physical confrontation, and then seeing two people face to face when one person is a certain height and you're already taller than almost anybody you ever faced, and then you're gonna wear heels. Like, it's always like this thing was like, it feels like all this stuff is intentional, and I don't know if that is like the meta heat for it, but like it turns me off, and like I have not enjoyed Charlotte nearly as much. It also doesn't help that like she's not nearly as consistently good as she used to be.
Yeah,
and I think we talked about it before. I don't know how many times we talked about it before, but like it is not good, not no bueno. But like in a big match would I ever count her out? No, because I've seen her work. And she's in there with someone that's obviously very talented, and we've seen them have a great match at WrestleMania before. So like, I'm excited for the match just for the fact that like it's two people that are very talented, giving it time, and they're probably gonna have a clean finish. But as far as like their build or whatever else, this is not Scream. This needs to be the main event of WrestleMania. But quite frankly, neither did Bianca and Sasha.
Some in common there. Man, Bianca's feud might be even worse this time, and that's a very low bar. What they did with Sasha and Bianca going into it, but moving on, Bill Goldberg, according to Fightful Select, is a free agent now. What is about to happen here? Like, when I hear free agent, I feel like this is an implication that he wants to continue contributing to the wrestling business.
Yeah.
His contract did expire or something. Thinking about who's like quote unquote running WWE right now.
Makes sense.
This kind of makes sense. Like, right. Like someone sent a clip out of Triple H talking about Goldberg on Tough Enough, and then Right. I would just like to thank Goldberg for squashing the Fiend, giving us that forever, that meltdown and everything like that. But Goldberg is, I believe, 56 years old.
Yep.
A lot of injuries. Put his body through a lot. Even like he doesn't look how he looked 5 years ago.
Right.
Now, do you take a shot on Goldberg if you're TK or anyone else right now?
Man,
or do you just like let that dog lie?
For what I assume is a prohibitive price tag, I would say no. I would say no. If he wants to come in and get a pop and do the co-sign a guy, particularly someone like a Wardlow, for example, would make some sense. Like if they want to do something like that, if they want to have him in a non-wrestling like mentorship role with some big hoss, sure. And he still gets he still has to come out and do all the pyro and all that kind of stuff, and he still can sick somebody on there, or he might whatever. But him, like if they do that, he's not going to want to ever get beat down to get heat for somebody else, because he's a hero in his his eyes. Like, I'm a superhero to so many people. I don't want to come out here and just get my ass whooped and not ever be able to get it back or whatever else. So he's going to have to wrestle. So like I think if he's able to come to a different stage in his thought process on what he wants to do in pro wrestling, sure. If he still wants to go out there and be the guy, then I don't think that's really a smart idea. No.
Yeah. I think if you're talking about Goldberg, you got to look him in the eye essentially and be like, that Allen Iverson, you will not start anymore. Like you will not start, but we can use you in very small doses and make you and this is your chance to give back to wrestling. Like, a lot of people don't have a positive perception of Bill Goldberg,
right.
Like and I don't think that's everybody. I think some people like Goldberg as far as like people in wrestling and fans as well. I like Goldberg, but
that's also a byproduct of being in the era he came up in and being successful in it. Of course you got that. Of course he got shark in him. And I don't mean that in no bad way. It's like,
bro, look who was taking advantage of him, like Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan.
Right.
Like,
right. So it's like, for him to have any amount of success without ever getting cut off at, you're doing a what with who? Who the fuck is that? No, we're not doing that. Beat him 2 months in. Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't know if I was TK, I would only offer him like a short term role. If you're like, yeah, we're gonna kick the tires on this and do something with it. Like, he's proven he can book Sting effectively, like in these kind of legendary situations. Sting's a totally different situation.
Sting he's a far more dexterous act.
He has much more to offer than like just doing his finish a bunch of times.
Right.
So
he's a more thoughtful promo from the sense of being able to like fit in a bigger picture to help assist in getting someone else over.
Yeah. Like I don't know how that works.
At least from what we've seen from Goldberg so far. Yeah.
I don't know how that works with Goldberg. I did see a lot of funny jokes about Goldberg. I saw people wanting him to be booked against CM Punk and do the kick, as a tribute to Bret Hart. And then they were saying that would be at a future AEW pay-per-view and putting like 4.5 stars on there. If it was a one match thing, I'd be like, come in and squash FTR Bald. I think I would get great pleasure out of that. Like, oh, you've been talking all this shit. Essentially, you really want to be like Bret? All right, you gonna go ahead and deal with Goldberg.
I will say this:
hate him too.
If there was a program, and I just mentioned it, but if there was a program that's just ready made to do on TNT, Goldberg, Jericho, everyone knows the history. You just go ahead and do it. And you just go like 6-8 minutes, whatever else. You have Jericho figure it all out or whatever else, and you go from there. But like, and then quite frankly, like you just have Goldberg just run through the JAS the whole time to get Jericho. And I tell you this right now, you know why Jericho would do it? Because Jericho knows that shit would draw. Jericho knows that shit will work. He absolutely knows that will work.
Daniel Garcia throwing up the fist in front of Goldberg,
and catching nothing but collarbone in that man's midsection. Yes,
but yeah.
Thanks, son. You opened up the spot.
But I don't know if I do this, but there's a conversation. I think if you're Tony Khan, you gotta have a conversation with your team. Either you need to let them know, no, we're not doing this, or you need to like have a conversation with Bill, see where his head's at, see what he's willing to do.
Because worst case scenario, you can always like, I don't know if it would be a price tag for this, but like bring him in whenever they go to Georgia and like let off 1,000 fireworks and let him do his entrance. You can always do that. That will always work.
The only thing is you won't get the music though. I don't know if you'll be able to get the Goldberg music, which I think that's a big part of the experience with Goldberg.
That's true.
And I love Mikey Ruckus to death, but that's not no music that you can just recreate. Look, maybe you can license the Pastor Troy version.
I was just about to say that, bitch. you get that P2 Cruiser. Yes, absolutely.
Maybe you do that. Maybe that's the cheat code around that.
And look, I know you can do it. You don't know why? Because they normally go to Decatur, right? They don't actually go to Atlanta.
They go to
because they're probably boxed out because of Coonan. Or sorry, CDK.
They can't get in that arena. They go to Duluth.
So look, they go to Duluth. I don't know how far away that is from Metro Georgia, but if that is within an hour, Pastor Troy will show up.
Yes,
because Pastor Troy goes to all those UGA games in Athens. Yeah. He will show up.
You give him a belt.
He will perform. He'll with the big gold belt. I'm pretty sure they're allowed to bring that on there, so they'll have to come up with it. So they'll have to give Troy, another version of the AEW World Belt, and they go out there and just perform and go out there and do it. That will yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Send it up.
Yeah. That's how we do this.
Oh man.
Lowe's knows how to get your lawn ready for spring. And right now, you can get up to $20 off select Scott's Triple Action Fertilizer. Plus, get a Cobalt 40-volt 15-inch string trimmer or leaf blower. Your choice, $149, only at Lowe's. Get set for spring. Visit us in-store or online today because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid 3/9 through 3/22. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
When it's time for an adventure on the open highway, one quick call to American Family Insurance gets you headed in the right direction. Our Travel Peace of Mind package is there if you encounter a bump in the road. From roadside assistance to rental car coverage, we have you covered. Find a local agent or get a quote at amfam.com.
American Family Insurance.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Speaking of AEW Dynamite this week, this show was a mixed reaction, I think, from some folks. Some people really liked it. Some people did not like it at all. I liked the show a lot, James.
Once we go through it, because I didn't watch this live. I ended up watching it Saturday. So once we go through, I think I enjoyed this show, though.
Yeah. So we started with the MJF Rebar Mitzvah. He came out to the ring with some women, and he made out with one of them. And there were three of them that kissed him. Fourth one, he did all the tongue and everything with.
Once they went 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, I was like on the fourth one, I was like, are they gonna do like what he did when he made out with that one time? And sure enough, he did it again. I was like, now that's long form storytelling.
Callbacks. So he insults Canada, insults Bret Hart, basically saying, you guys used to think Bret Hart was entertaining. Then he says Shawn was much better. Then he said Judaism is the only religion that matters. MJF is wearing a yarmulke as well in the back.
Yeah. Is it time now to talk about some of these what are these barbers doing to these boys in AEW? Like, obviously MJF has this situation, so he's trying to figure out the best way to handle his situation.
But there's somebody else that people ain't really putting two and two together on.
We're going to get to that. You want to get to it now?
That hairline is on death row.
Hey, man. I know that, like, Ricky Starks has some stuff going on with, like, whatever level of black he is, to be able to have whatever kind of hairline he wants, or whatever way he wants to brush it, forward, straight, or to the side, whatever, what have you. I'm not saying it's for him to choose one way or the other. It's not for me to decide, right? That's up to him and his lifestyle. But I am concerned for what is happening with his hairline. There's no consistency for which way.
Hey, man, maybe those Rock comparisons aren't that far off. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, yes. And also, as we talked about a long time, like Anthony Bowens, there is some Beijing thing going on with a certain section of his head, but not the whole thing.
Hair like Ron Artest.
Oh,
he
yeah?
has the same hairline like Ron Artest, where it's like either like the barber like cuts it and they cut it from like memory or whatever. I think that's how it's supposed to go or whatever.
Like, I fucked up one time and he keeps coming back every week, so it's like he got to keep fucking it up because it hasn't grown back in time. Yeah. Look, how many times has Swerve hurt that man's knee? Just go off TV for a month and come back. Because he also has he has like the Anthony Davis, Paul George super low deal where it's like he's never going bald ever. So look, bro, if that's your situation, just go off TV.
Yeah, man.
It's fine. Wear a hat.
They
got to claim scissors hats, right?
Scissors. Use the scissors. Scissoring.
I don't think. Look, there is more things. Okay, how do I say this? Anthony Bowens' haircut makes more sense, so therefore you can't actually use scissors. But on Ricky Stark's hair, you can use scissors.
You at least get that little overhang that's right there.
Know.
Like
Hey man,
you get rid of that. Like you.
Do you remember
put the hat on? I got a hat on tonight. It's not because I'm losing the hair. I got too much hair. I just need to tame for a little bit. I got a fro right now.
Do you remember Darren Williams? How his hair situation was looking like at the end?
Yes.
Like, cause like his hair is almost like a Jason Tatum situation where it's like his hair, his curl texture is so like loose that like he can't get it to sit down. So he has to go or get slit down for waves. So he has to grow it dark. And when you grow it dark, it gets long at the front. So like it turns into basically like bangs. So like you're not actually edging like the actual hairline. You're edging like with the brush down bangs. Yeah. And when it gets wet, it gets wet. That's kind of like what's happening with Starks. That's kind of like what's happening with Starks. These are the light skin problems that I never foresaw. And until you see it out in person, you're like, oh, there's some wild shit going on out here in these streets.
Hey man, my hairline's strong.
But Rich, you also have a tighter curl texture than them. You were spared. You was one recessive gene or dominant gene from being fucked up in the game.
Oh
Rich.
Man, yeah, Dante Martin. Look, I'm looking at you too. Like the Martin boys, like y'all ain't safe either. Seamus Nova saying TK needs to hire a black barber ASAP. So, yeah, maybe I can put that suggestion out there. But yeah, man, it's a lot, man. These folks, and we ain't like there's plenty of more folks. But
this is what I'll say. They don't need a black barber. They just need a barber that's black. Because once you have a black barber, this is the thing that people don't understand. Black people have hair and curl patterns they go from, Lil Wayne, Millie, tougher than Nigerian hair to straight as Rapunzel, right? So black barbers know how to cut anybody's hair. White barbers do not.
Can Isaiah Cassidy bring his barber?
Yeah.
Like he can help these boys out.
Here's the thing though. Isaiah Cassidy's barber is probably like Dominican.
You know what? You're probably right.
You know how it is in them up north barbershops. Like the ethnicity don't really matter if they have a chair that's towards the back, they're good. It doesn't matter. Even if they white, those are the white barbers you get. You go get yourself a white barber from an up north black barbershop that is not at one of the first front chairs. That boy cold. That boy is the Larry Bird of cutting hair. Do you understand me? Cold. You know how much work he had to put in to get to the back? He's been there a long fucking time.
A lot of heads.
Yes.
But yeah, let's get back to this opening segment. One Nation Radio exclusive audio here. You will not find this on no other show. So he said he's already had a bar mitzvah there. He lost his V card there. Tony Schiavone said some shit like you have to be 83 years old again to get rebar mitzvah. And he's like, what the hell is happening here? MJF says after his win over Danielson at Revolution, he is Iron Man. And they kicked out the bar mitzvah and they brought out the Jewish gentleman with the chair. They put MJF on the chair and did the dance.
And they played Hop and Gila. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, the crowd was into it. I was into it.
Yeah, I was like, all right. And then all of a sudden, I started hearing that. Yeah, I started hearing that Jungle Boy music. I was like, whoa! Like I popped real big for Jack Perry coming out, and because I figured it was about to be some pillarism going on, and boy, was it ever! And then after that,
we tipped off to this.
I think there was something on Rampage the week before that, like each of them like separately like did interviews or something like that.
Okay.
So, Sammy's music hit and he comes out. Then all of a sudden Darby's music hits and he comes out, and then everybody's in the corners, in all four corners. Twitter's going nuts at this time. Lots of pillarism tweets getting sent out. And then these guys started all talking. And MJF's like, what do you guys want? They said they all at the same time says we all want a title shot. So we're gonna get that four pillars match. I was privy to something which I cannot disclose on the air. I don't know if it's going to play out that way. So if it ends up that way, I'll come back on it. But whatever, like, and what I heard about is going to be epic. But they said Jack Perry didn't talk about they went into shoot zone because they realized that, hey, we need to heat this up a little bit, and they started letting it off. But Jack Perry is basically saying MJF never appeared on Dark, Elevation, Rampage, anything like that.
And I had heard that thing about like MJF had not been on a Rampage in like a year or something like that, or not at all ever.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah.
And then when he said, I was like, I wish he hadn't said that. Because it exposes that is the B show and you shouldn't watch. And people already have been tipped off that that's the B show and they don't watch now.
Yeah. From there, he said he gets to do whatever he wants. Everyone else has to scratch and claw for any opportunity. I'll go back through what I think in a second. I just want to get through it. But, he said he wants the championship. MJF says he, like everyone else, is actually a star and the company revolves around him. Sammy cuts him off, says he worked hard to get where he is. He overcame a bunch of obstacles being on the indies, working at, places like Subway, working fast food jobs. And, he said he was supposed to be the inner circle job guy and Jericho's bump guy, but he's going to be a world champion. This is probably the most positive response that Sammy Guevara's got from a crowd in a long time.
Yes. I liked what he said. I didn't like the terminology of talking about job guy, bump guy. But then, he said that, and then, at the end, he's like, just remind you, what I said was inspiring, but I am still a heel. And he's like, screw this crowd. It was funny.
And then Darby got into it, and he talks about being in film school and how he dropped out, and he looked back on his road up to this point and said there's never going to be a bidding war for him. Maybe he's a terrible businessman, but AEW gives him something that, no one else can compete with. And it's like the ability to be himself. And he basically said, I'm not going to be one of these dudes that's on Twitter crying and saying they want to leave the company and talking about their contracts. And man, that shit right there, there's a 14-second clip. He was cooking Dax. It sounded like, or many motherfuckers that if the shoe fits, wear it.
Years, yeah.
Yeah, if the shoe fits, wear it. I believe there was a Sean Spears tweet that he sent out doing exactly this thing that Darby's talking about. And somebody put the Darby promo in his replies, and Sean Spears hid the tweet or whatever. So this is already being this is the weaponization of that promo. And Darby riled the crowd up pretty good. Darby doesn't talk often. He was sitting down like Raven in the corner, and I thought he did a good job. And he basically says, Darby says he takes issues with the ways that other wrestlers, including MJF, threaten to leave. He said he's going to beat MJF's face in if he doesn't give him a title shot. Sammy and MJF then swap wife and fiance shoot barbs.
Yep.
And all that. And MJF says he's, there's our four pillars, but he's the only one that can hold the place up. MJF didn't want to give him a title shot because they don't deserve it. And then Jack Perry attacks MJF from behind with the microphone.
It was hilarious. And the second you saw the mic upside down, you knew what was happening too.
MJF gets sent into the cake.
Yes.
Overall, I really like this segment a lot.
Yeah.
Did they do some shoot stuff that is kind of like, you shouldn't do that? Yes. I think Jack Perry could have said something. He could have made the same point, just saying it slightly differently. He could have taken pride in be like, yo, I had the opportunity to compete on Dark, on Elevation, and face wrestlers from all around the world. And, I looked, I was working hard, but I didn't see you taking that same opportunity to face these people. You know what? I had the opportunity to establish Elevation. I had the opportunity, to do stuff on Rampage, stuff like that. But you didn't take these opportunities and stuff like this. You wanted to do something else. He could have phrased it a little different way, got a little bit more out of it, but I still think the point was made. I thought Sammy did great. And these weren't lies. Like, so like I ultimately didn't like have a like if I feel like your shoot stuff is like completely just like misses like this is what people thought about Sammy Guevara. They thought he was just the job guy of the group, the lower guy of the group. This is what they thought of him. And for if he had to wear that like that whole time and do all those jobs, I think he should be able to use it as well.
I just had a issue, or how do I say this? I didn't like the use of talking about people being job guys. Like, obviously he was talking about the naysayers, right? Mm-hmm. But it ain't too much naysaying when like we saw you go out there and be a condom for Chris Jericho for a year. Like that's not exactly like, not, saying the naysayers, maybe you rose above it, but you absolutely were picked for that role. And like, that is a role, right? Like, this is a team and that was a particular role at the time. So yeah, I don't, I just didn't like that part about it, but like everything for the most part, like you mentioned, it was honest. Certain things I just like, it just made me think like, is there another way to say that better or say that without saying it that way? So yeah, yes, a condom is protection. Yes, it's prophylactic. So
y'all missed that one. That's an old reference.
Yeah, we've been saying that for years.
But yeah, like this thing,
what I will say is this. Am I the only one that thinks that, like, MJF is right here? Like, I had my segment because I won the title, because I won the Iron Man match. I may have cheated, but, like, I always cheat, so you hold that against me? Whatever. Like, I'm going to celebrate. Like, we've been hard about every other week on MJF. This week, I was like, comes out celebrate, the crowd's into it, these assholes come out and ask for a match. They have not done anything to deserve said match. Is that fair? Where are they in the rankings?
They don't have the rankings.
I know, that's a joke. That was a joke. They got rid of the rankings. They could have made this shit to where they could have been the top 4.
Clapper, you're anti-Semitic. That was a great line.
Yes, right. Yes, it was. He's like, if you don't change this, I popped when he said that. So he comes out and they're saying stuff about him, which is true, but it's like, hey man, we're not here to talk about President Nixon. We're to talk about this jump. And like, they say all this stuff about, you cheated and all this stuff, and like, I had to do all this stuff and you took these shortcuts. It's like, yeah, and that's why I got this. Dummies work smarter, not harder. And then he mentioned like, look, you guys talk about about how easy I had it. Y'all had all these, y'all are all apprentices for all these masters of pro wrestling. I had to do this shit on my own. Fuck y'all. Like, what are y'all complaining about? Y'all ain't earned, like, y'all haven't earned these title shots. What are y'all doing here asking me for this stuff? Get the fuck out of my celebration. Leave. So I was like, you know what? MJF is kind of right here. These assholes showing up asking for matches they don't deserve yet.
MJF has omitted some details there.
That is true. That is true. And then Guevara comes out here talking about, my what I hope was my nuptials not going through. It's like, hold on, bro. I know you're not talking.
I know you ain't talking.
I know you're not talking. The baby face had proposed to his girlfriend, and all of a sudden is dating the wrestler. Next thing you know, what a coincidence, huh? What a coincidence. I'm glad someone finally brought that mission out on air, even though they shouldn't have mission on air. But like, once that got brought to him, he had to return and serve. And boy,
yeah,
that was a devastating one when he brought that one back. It was like, oh yeah, that's why you're a heel. That's why the babyface like TNT title run did not work.
Amazing. But yeah, I think this is all going to peak in a really cool way. So,
that's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
but we already knew that.
Yeah. So pillarism, long live.
Yeah.
But after that, we had Chris Jericho getting a street named after him in Winnipeg, Chris Jericho Way.
Was that a
Hilarious.
shoot? Was that real?
It's a shoot.
Okay. Because like
I saw it earlier in the day. They were talking about it on Twitter.
Okay, because I was wondering, because it's like Jericho, he would absolutely be up for this because anything that'll put him over, he's into, right?
Jericho,
and I don't mean it in a bad way. Like he's a pro wrestler. Like it behooves him to like work on things that like boost his ego and his stature. That's what working is.
You want to put me over? Like
right. Why do you think Ric Flair was in these Migo videos talking about the Ric Flair drip? They were putting him over. Duh. But yeah,
it's temporary. Okay.
So I didn't know. Oh, it's temporary. Okay.
Yeah, it's an honorary.
Honorary. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't know if it was real or not, but I was like, this is absolutely something he'd be into because it's Chris Jericho. But right. I'm glad it's real. Good for him.
But after that, we got Blackpool Combat Club. So Moxley, Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli taking on Hangman Page, Evil Uno, and the returning Stu Grayson. A man that was, during the match when I was watching it, I was like, this man's wrestling like he wants his job back. And lo and behold, it worked. He ended up getting re-signed to AEW. So congrats to Stu Grayson. But yeah, this was another good match. This crowd was very hot all night too. Yes. First time in Winnipeg. Obviously. And this one, was pretty cool too. Grayson was like a man possessed in this match.
Yes, he was great. I turned on my camera, I blow my nose. Gotcha. So I want you to see me out here, all that. I hear scissoring my nose. Scissor me.
No.
But yeah, Stu, that man was like
Evil Uno looks like he has kind of a new lease on life. Essentially, like a little bit like rougher and tougher kind of presentation.
I think like him, bleeding the way he did a few weeks ago did a lot for him. In that way, obviously, being in Canada, but like, man, that match was really good. They set them up to like really shine because obviously. Just from a kayfabe perspective, that match should not have been that competitive, but they're the heel, so that's what their job is to make these baby faces, feel like they got hope. And they did that in Stu Grayson. He wrestled his ass. He was out there flipping and flying. And, I don't know how you do this. I don't know if you're like, how Jericho does the Sports Entertainer of the Week on Rampage, like the ROPW Wrestler of the Week. Like Stu Grayson has to be in the discussion for what he was out there bringing to the game this week. He was out there. He was out there like Iverson. This might be my last game.
I got one shot.
Yes.
I'm gonna show them what the game's been missing. That's Stu Grayson.
Absolutely. Glad he got his job back. And like, now that we got, Dark Order with Grayson and Uno back, like that's a valuable team to the tag division.
Yeah. Like, ain't no reason.
Ain't no reason why they can't be the AEW World Tag Team Champions at this point.
Yep. But yeah, I was into this match. Crowd got really into this match towards the end. Blackpool Combat Club ended up winning when Grayson tapped out to a Moxley choke. BCC full with the heel stuff. Yuta using the ring bell. Claudio Castagnoli, I like his presentation as a heel so much more.
But he was always great as a heel.
Yeah.
He was always a great bully.
Motherfucker, like.
Right. They don't know his own strength and is out here just like, just doing too much. It's fun. It's fun to have that back.
Yeah. After that, Moxley kept in the choke after the bell. Uno tried to make the save, but BCC beat him down even more. Silver Reynolds ran out, and then BCC ran away. After that, Juice Robinson talked about Ricky Starks and said Ricky's not going to do, quote, jack diddly squat about it. When a man can't cuss, I don't know, man.
Do you remember, since we're talking about Goldberg and we're talking about Hogan, you remember like Hogan coming down in the Georgia Dome and he's like, I'm going to kick Goldberg's butt.
Yes.
That's what it felt like when he said diddly squat. I was like, oh, brother. That Juice Robinson promo don't hit the same when he can't just use blatant for profanity in a foreign language.
Amazing how that works.
Yeah.
After that, we got a TBS Canadian Championship Open Challenge. Jade Cargill comes out, and then Nicole Matthews is in the ring. You know her from Shimmer, and she was in the Mae Young Classic the first year, fresh off of or it's probably due to come up soon. She had that 5-year ban where she couldn't come to the U.S. She got squashed.
I did not know about that.
Yeah, she couldn't come to the U.S. Like she got that ban, the visa shit, because she came over here one time, and you know, got caught.
Wow.
So
a Canadian illegal didn't know those existed.
Same thing happened to Speedball Mike Bailey.
Oh wow,
that's why he was only able to come over here like last year or some shit.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
So Jade hit the pump kick on her. Jaded, get her out of here.
Real quick.
Then
quick work.
Renee, what's up?
Say it real quick work.
Renee then interviewed Jade, and Jade got in her face and basically said, "You from Canada, right? Renee, you want some? I that is the way. That is the way." Renee got like, you know how they want to say somebody got to wear the grease. Renee got to wear the grease.
Mannie was talking about that one time about arguing with some wrestler, and you go too far, and you gonna have to wear the grease. Yeah. So when that happened, like, you know, your video clip of saying that like Athena should continue to beat up white women flashed across my mind. It said it was Jade Cargill, and I thought it was hilarious. I was like, but Renee is so likable and nice. Like, she don't deserve this, but she needs to get these hands at this time, because it was just funny. It's like, you Canadian, ain't you? And she's like, oh, who's gonna come save me? Who's gonna save this porcelain princess? And then they played the music.
Yeah, Taya's music hits. Don't know what the music is at first, and then immediately I was like, because I was like, oh damn! Like when I saw it was Nicole Matthews, I was like, oh, it's not Taya. And then immediately, like after I sent that to the group, I was like, oh shit, they're setting up a double thing. And as soon as they started, what's up?
It worked out better this way. Like they're having the decoy and having like the real person supposed to just doing the match right now.
Jerichoism. But yeah, Taya's music hits. She's coming out to some crank. It sounds like Josiah. Then she gets in the ring. She
NXT
beats up Willa Gray. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think he did her song.
Okay.
Layla tried to attack Taya, but caught the Welcome to Valhalla, which is essentially Jade's move as well.
Yeah.
She kind of stood kind of face to face with Jade, so she's like comparable kind of size wise to Jade. So
notice that like Jade didn't wear heels.
Yeah, well, I mean, she had her wrestling boots on, so.
Well, yeah, withdrawn. I was throwing shots at Charlotte, but yes, you're right.
Stupid. But Taya Valkyrie coming to AEW. I've never watched her over a long period of time. She, I've caught her like in
AAA,
like random AAA shows, like in a multi-person undercard match that has like 12 people in it, or I saw the Good Housekeeping match last year, which was like one of the worst matches I've ever seen in my life, with her versus her husband. And they also, and she's been in Impact, and I haven't paid attention to Impact outside of rare times. So Aces and Eights was I'm telling you, bro, when AJ broke the beer bottle over that man's head, that shit was lit. Like I was there, but.
I remember when you was watching that shit, and then you told me that like Bully Ray was actually like in after he was getting his ass beat down. I was like, Rich. I almost said Josh. Josh wanted to get me to be like, look, I'm telling you this right now, I'm done. But like, there's a line. I'm telling you, to understand there's a line in the sand with this shit. But I was like, Rich, that shit's dumb. Let's go back to Taya.
Taya, okay. So I don't, she's here. I'll give her a chance, see what she does. A lot of people are negative on it. I know we got a
Why
couple
do you think
friends
that
in the
is?
show. I think it's that Impact stink. Also, like she didn't really get over to a real extent in NXT. Not
that
like
wasn't
really
her job. That wasn't her role in NXT, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say not like she had really much of a chance in NXT to get over.
NXT was circling the drain by the time she came in.
She's usually on like lower profile shows, like when it comes to like WrestleMania weekend, like she doesn't end up competing in like the premier indies or anything like that. So I think this is a chance for her to really appeal to people who haven't seen her yet and try to turn those people around, other than the people that have like kind of preconditions of what she can do. And it's time to step Jade up in class at least, and she's someone that can come in and work with her. So and she's been around a long time, so I think that also might be a reason people aren't high on her, because it's like, all right, you're what? I don't know how old she is, but I think she's north of 35, and she's been in wrestling for a long time. So it's like, people are like, what is the upside here? So like,
the upside is the achievement unlocked of Jade Cargill potentially having a good match, a good title match. That would really help.
That would go a long way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she's the one, but crowd seem happy to see her. Of course, if you're in Canada, so that's it's a smart move. But I don't know. I don't know how this goes over. I'm hands off now. If it goes bad, I'll let you know.
Yeah. So my opinion on Taya is I don't think she's some elite worker in women's wrestling, but she obviously knows what she's doing as far as being able to lay out a match. I think that she's better at the tricks to get a match over than her athleticism at this point, from what I was seeing NXT at least. But that's been a while. Who knows? But she's more than good enough to be on AEW television, given what is some of the stuff we see in the women's division.
So after that, we got Ricky
Stark. It can't all be Jamie Hayter and Hikaru Shida and Riho.
After that, we got Tony Schiavone and Ricky Starks, who talked about Juice. He says he deserves attention, but Robinson hasn't done anything. Starks says the Bullet Club was last relevant in 2015, but he should do something to stand on his own feet. I think Ricky Starks should pay better attention, because there were more, like, there wouldn't be no promotion.
What is the name of the company?
It doesn't strike me that Ricky Starks was paying attention to his New Japan Pro Wrestling.
What's the name of the company?
All Elite Wrestling.
Who are the Elite?
Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Hangman Page, Cody Rhodes.
Weren't they like? What the fuck's he talking about? Like, maybe he just botched a year. Like, obviously, what happened with maybe it's the Saraya thing, where Saraya said Tokyo Dome instead of Sumo Hall. I don't know, but I was like, 2015. Nigga, AJ was there then. What are you talking
about? So we got the first,
and that's
episode.
Also where we saw, his condition. So
yeah. This we saw the condition. Like, I've been paying attention to this before that.
That's when I know, but that's when I noticed it. And this wasn't like something where you had been talking about it sometime. But I was like, hold on, bro, what's going on? What's happening?
Yeah.
What? I want answers.
So the first episode of QTV aired, which is like a TMZ parody
exactly what it is.
deal.
Exactly what it is.
This was kind of funny. But it was just like, this is so like weird. I think it's gonna take a couple of these, and I think it's gonna get over.
Think so?
But yeah,
as a heel faction doing it.
Yeah, because like I think the key with this thing is like it's 90 seconds long, and if you can keep it like that, like people will look forward to this. They just got to kind of keep pulling kind of stunts, I'd say. Now I'm not saying break in cars and shit like that, because they did a lot to try to get this over. Like, they fooled me 100% with this deal, like with them breaking the car window. I thought Warlow shit really got took.
I still don't know what's real and what's not with that. No idea.
Yeah. Like, maybe they turned it to an angle.
I think that's what I feel like that's what happened.
Like, because I'm like, bro, there's no way Warlow's that good of an actor. Like when I watched that video, I was like, bro, this dude looks heartbroken, like somebody, and like pissed, like
right. Right. And it looks like he's trying to like talk about like the match that he's got to figure out how to get gear for and all that kind of stuff while he's doing it, and telling people like, my shit got jacked. Yeah. like that's some like he's not that good of a promo and actor. With
yeah. So QT references the ruthless aggression line. Solo says whatever's next for Warlow will be like Batista but worse. I was like, God damn. Like that's fucked up. Why are you burying this man like this? Then a new woman has emerged on the scene. I believe her name is Harley. Her name is Harley Cameron. She actually is the wife of Zion Quinn in NXT. I actually did a song with her on Swerve Monteese's second album, GPS, a song called Dance the Night Away. She was a singer. I recorded her vocals before, so very pleasant young lady. Had, the fortune of working with her. But the
it's
as
an
far as
incestuous business. he knows wrestlers and talent that ain't even on TV nowhere. And they just show up and like, oh yeah, I know her. I met her. We recorded shit. What?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
This is like 2020. So, but yeah, it's I'm telling you, wrestlers not on TV. It's people on TV. I talked to a lot of people, and I don't know how this ended up the case. Like it just happens like that. But yeah. As far as QTV, I thought it was funny, but
I feel like it could work. I also maybe have some hesitance from like what I heard originally was like the concept was like QT was going to do like some like anti-dirt sheet thing at the time, and then it turned into this. So I kind of guess I had my guard up for this, and like I thought that like the comedy felt too canned and camped, or not camped, but too canned. Like,
you know what it felt like when I was watching it? It felt like that comedy they do on the Office. Like where they're zooming the camera around and shit, and then people are just like throwing shit in.
Yes, but like those you ever watched TMZ for a little bit of time? Like that was what they were trying to capture. Is that those kind of shots happen and whatever else on handhelds? But it just felt like the comedy felt too. It just felt too like, I don't want to say robotic, too wooden in a way, right? Like
gotcha.
Like that line that what's your boy's name has the Batista
Solo.
line. Who said that?
Aaron Solo.
Yeah, the line that said like that's a killer line, but like it was like thrown out as if like everybody is like, it's almost like the whole entire group is like the studio audience is supposed to be laughing at every single joke as they're telling off these jokes, and I don't know if that's them like parodying what happens on TMZ, but like when I watch TMZ, it doesn't feel like that necessarily, but maybe that's because like a small sample size. I don't know. I think that's the parody, maybe. I don't know. Could be.
Up next, we got the AEW International Championship, Orange Cassidy versus Jeff Jarrett, and man, this is a sad day. This is a good match. Yeah, this is a good match. This is definitely a good match.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay.
It's a sad day. In the Jeff Jarrett strap him up agenda. I thought this was the time. It is not.
You're sick.
Somehow Jeff Jarrett lost, but at the end of the day, Jeff Jarrett really won. I'll tell you why Jeff Jarrett really won. I saw someone send a tweet out. I think it was Trevor Dame. He mentioned a great point. Somebody that's been doing very strong quarter hours of late has been Orange Cassidy. Jeff Jarrett pulled the oldest trick there is.
I'm valuable because I've been working with someone that does good quarter hours.
Bingo. I'm gonna, and knowing what they did for the house show this weekend, they drew 3,200 people to Troy, Ohio. I've never heard of that building ever, and like that shit was like, it's in Ohio. I have no idea where it is. I'm looking it up
right now,
but I saw a bunch of video from the event. They didn't have some like stat card or anything like that. It looked like, but all the stuff I saw pretty much was, seemed pretty fun. Mox was bleeding at that shit.
Of course.
But Jeff, who's at the center of that? Jeff Jarrett doing the promoting stuff. And it's like, bro, like this man is like sneakily like becoming a very valuable part of what they're doing. And then what he did here, attach himself to Orange Cassidy. This was the match we all wanted to see. This is one of my most anticipated matches. Like this is great. Like what he's doing, the unit rocks.
Okay, so Troy is like just north of Dayton.
Okay.
So basically like it's between Dayton's between like Columbus and I'm sorry, I don't know if you however this is like, but like Columbus is in the dead center of the state. I'm gonna say country, and then like Cincinnati is on the state line on the river between Kentucky and Ohio.
Got you. So like when I hear Dayton, I think of old WWF house show town. Kind of.
I think of the Flyers in the NCAA tournament. Honestly.
Yeah, that's true. And then yeah, as far as this match, like this ruled. Like this was like another Jeff Jarrett knows all the tricks, and Orange Cassidy has all the timing and all the the great like television layout wrestler he is, and they put it together, and this was awesome. They used like Aubrey Edwards getting involved. Yep. There was like Satnam Singh, and it was like damn, like Jeff Jarrett showed up too late. He could have came out here with Cody and like cracked the code, I think.
No, the reason why this match worked is because since Cody has left, there's been a lot less of this. So therefore, it doesn't feel like such a trope. Like the thing with in my opinion, obviously, but like the thing with AEW is that you're liable to get a very good version of anything from pro wrestling on a 2-hour show. So like whether you get your blood, your high flying, your technical wrestling, whatever, it's fun. So like without Cody here, there's been a lot less of the over the top theatrical gaga stuff that you would see in Memphis, for example. I don't mean to say Memphis because of Jarrett. I'm not even mean like that, but it's like all of the gaga, all of the stuff that approaches dusty finishes, stuff that gets you where it's like
interference,
and then like heaps of it or whatever else, right? Like it's the same thing of like when Rich, like, I didn't like it when it first happened, but like the Hell in a Cell match between Roman and Jay that you loved.
No, I didn't like the Hell in a Cell. I liked the singles match.
That wasn't the first match?
The first match was the Clash of the Champions match.
Okay, so you like that match at the beginning because of like it feels fresh because it's not overdone. But then like when you double and triple down and quadruple down the same thing, that's not just regular ass wrestling. Then it starts feeling like, oh, this is the play you keep running.
Right.
So like we haven't seen much of that. We have some MJF stuff here and there, right? But like we have not seen much of that with Orange Cassidy at all. So like it really worked because like one, Jarrett is a master of it because he's one of the macaroni Ric Flairs. He's a macaroni nigga, imposter. So like that's Andre 3009. It's not me. It's not we're not going to discuss that. Are you going to have to discuss that? Put on the show sheet. We'll talk about after.
Finish your thought.
Yeah. We'll put on your thought. Yeah. So like it worked to perfection. Like even the stuff that's like when I'm my mind, my mind is I'm just thinking all the time. I'm just like, wait a second. Like they did say that like Jay Lethal wasn't there or whatever else, and he shows up and apparently has some Emmy thing that he uses a weapon, a Golden Globe, and then all of a sudden Trent, after Sanjay and Satnam have been just fucking off and ruining Orange Cassidy all the time. He then finally decides to come out like, what a shitty best friend. And also, where the fuck is Chucky T? So, yeah. or Danhausen. So,
I think Danhausen,
but it worked to perfection. They got, when he got hit with the Golden Glove, the crowd really thought they were about to get fucked. And Jeff Jarrett, this fucking carny has scammed another belt that he does not deserve out. And, crowd kicked out. Not for one second that I believe he was going to win, but the crowd bit for it, and I was like, and the crowd kept getting hotter and hotter as more and more nonsense was happening, and I was like, it worked, whatever. I was entertained, and then at no point did I was like, enough. At no point did I feel like, oh my god, I roll my eyes. It just worked, and like it's not a steady diet of this, and that's why it worked.
I saw someone say they got to link Jeff Jarrett up with the House of Torture on the pre-show for Forbidden Door.
Who said this?
I think I just saw it on Twitter or some shit.
Do I follow them?
No idea.
All right. Make sure I can, who it is. Like, let me know so I can mute, block, depending on the relationship.
I'm like, how dare y'all try to attach evil to Jeff Jarrett? Hell no.
Not the same thing at all.
After that,
like Jeff Jarrett shows ass.
Right.
Like, even to be fair, they do too, but like the matches be terrible, and then like it ain't even worth the juice ain't worth the squeeze and them showing ass at the end of all it.
We got promos from House of Black and Jericho Appreciation Society. We also got a music video from Max Caster. It's kind of just like kind of like a little victory lap.
I listened to the shows, I watched the shows in headphones. That was not a good mix. Whoever did that. Send that shit
I didn't hear the mix.
32 I'm not gonna say the rest of it, but like, look, nah, that ain't it.
If you need some mix, Max, send it over. You know how to get in contact with me. But speaking of hip hop, again,
I thought I was gonna be able to avoid this. I shouldn't have said you put a pin in this. All right, go ahead, man.
Okay. According to Dax Harwood, Andre 3000 is one of the, as a lyricist, Andre 3000 got to be one of the best of all time, right?
I don't know what this was for. I don't know what this is about. All I know is I don't trust it, because it's one of those things where it's like, this is so obvious that like you can Google it and like the Chat GPT or like the greatest, or you put in a Google search for greatest rap songs of all time, like whatever white source you find this from will put him on the list for you. So it's like, what is happening right now? What is happening right now? Like,
I was more baffled by the replies. Like,
I didn't see the replies.
Like, what he was doing was, and I'm not saying you can't use this song, like, to cite this. Like, he's playing the Walk It Out remix. It's just random. I'm like, out of like all the songs Andre 3000 has done, the song that you picked was the Walk It Out remix.
You thought he was going to play? Okay. So, as he mentions, he's a family guy, kids. Him playing Walk It Out, I believe it. I believe that far more likely than he's going to play the Art of Storytelling 4. I find that far more believable. I really do.
And then like how he's captioned it, like bro, sis, all this stuff that he's saying in the tweets, like when he's talking to people.
I didn't see that part.
It's like, what is going on here, man? Like, why are we doing this? Like why is he involving himself in this? Like, just out of nowhere, by the way. This wasn't, nobody was like, hey, Dax, who are like some of your greatest rappers? Nobody said this. He just like decided one day he was listening to the Walk It Out remix on his own.
And then it dawned on him that Andre 3000 is a special, like, it's special with the words. Yeah.
Thanks, Dax. We settled this one 25 years ago. Thank you, though. Look, we appreciate you joining us.
I don't know how he wouldn't know, because if there was any rap that I assume Dax was listening to, it would be something like Eminem Till I Collapse, where Eminem says, it goes Reggie, Jay-Z, Tupac and Biggie, Andre from Outkast, Jada, Corrupt, Nas, and then me. So I figured he already knew. Right?
Maybe.
Okay.
But hip hop, is we talk about it all show, is universal. At least like, he likes rap, unlike Zoe Stark, who, decided to send something out,
Okay, so
to the contrary.
She said that, and because she's obviously white passing.
Another discussion that happened on Twitter.
People immediately went in on she is, doing the rap is crap, whatever, right? And her response was, my dad's a light skin. I don't give a fuck. Right? I don't care. Like people.
She lost that battle a long time ago.
People feel like you were talking in code, and whether or not you accept that is one thing, and maybe that's a bit unfair. But your response to be is like, your response to that is be like, well, my dad's like, who said your dad liked rap?
Right.
What if your daddy was Michael Jordan? Fuck rap. Fuck rap. Just like Noriega did in the thing when he said that Michael Jordan took his black country ass to the Def Jam Christmas party and only wanted to talk to Mariah Carey or Jay-Z, and then when everybody else in the rap game that's bought $1,000 worth of his shoes or whatever else and merchandise wanted to talk to him, he told them, fuck rap. Michael Jordan is an asshole.
Hey,
bro, this show has gone all over the place. We were talking about 180,000 in Dax.
Look,
to now talking about that.
Hey, Zoe Star, I just appreciate, either way, I just gotta let her know black music wins. Either way.
Yeah, either way.
Black music wins.
Either way. Yeah. And like, it was just one of those things where it's like, when you're on Twitter and you are, it's a drag for people, right? If you're on Twitter and you got a bunch of followers, luckily I don't. If you say something innocuous, right? You'd be like, I like toast, right? Somebody can hop in there and be like, well, my dad died because he had a gluten allergy. You asshole. That happens, right? We've seen that tons of times. So this could have been just an innocuous tweet that's like, hey, I prefer, I don't know what the exact words were, but like, I like rock more than rap. But you can't say that on Twitter because Twitter has an algorithm, and all stuff that's happened since 2016. You can't just say that as a blanket statement and just, just shut off the app and move on with your day. And I feel bad for her, but she should have known that. And she also should have known that what wasn't gonna fly for nobody that took offense to her is her posting up her damn light-skinned daddy. You don't give a fuck. What were you thinking? You thought I was gonna save you? You thought you had a black pass?
Disgusting.
Because you're an octoroon? What?
Yeah, man. I don't know what that was. So the Outcasts, the aptly named Outcasts, were here.
That's where we should have put it. That's where we should have put this before that. Okay, let's go.
Look at this, how it syncs up.
Oh yeah.
Ruby Soho says the grass used to be greener in AEW until some bitches came along and peed on it. What do they do with bitches? And then they put them down. Saraya says that we're going to show AEW's her house. Without the Outcast, there wouldn't even be a women's division,
which made no sense but was hilarious. And I was like, "This is going off the rails." This was going well until they handed the mic over to Saraya, and then the crowd started booing. And then Saraya, like, I don't know if this was actually like what she had planned to say, but I thought this was the funniest thing I heard all week in pro wrestling. After she said that, she called a bunch of people like sweaty twats or something like that, and then she yells into the mic, "I am a miracle!" What? What is that? I am a miracle? What does that mean?
I think she was talking about her neck.
You talking about the fact that she came back to wrestling? Like what?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe so. That does not give me the proper context. That can mean anything without context, and that's hilarious. I want that to be put on Matthew and Botchamania and all that stuff from when something crazy happened in pro wrestling, some shit that shouldn't have worked, and you'd be like, in the background, you'd be like, I am a miracle, because that was hilarious to me. Sorry, it was. It popped me. Me. I think last week I said it when Ruby cut that You People promo, and she made it work. That as far as I'm concerned, she's a leader. Case in point, another example. She is a leader. That thing was on the road, and then Saraya just said, "Skrrr" on 22s.
Fuck that, we doing something else.
Yes. What road? Westbrookian.
Said there wouldn't even be a women's division. I advised her not to play around with that idea in front of this audience because they might just take you up on it. Tony Storm gets the mic. She says the fans don't even know what they want.
Tony Storm got the mic, and she had to figure out like how she was gonna try to salvage this. So
she said the Outcasts ain't going nowhere. They're having too much fun going through one entitled rookie after the other, but some of them aren't rookies. Right. They started talking about Jamie Hayter and her and Britt Baker sprint to the ring in denim, because they're in Canada. They were in the Canadian tuxedos.
Oh my God.
They attack, but their attack falls short because obviously they're outnumbered. Baker gets Ruby Soho's finish hit on her. Hayter hits Storm 0 or takes a Storm 0, but Riho ran out brandishing a pipe, and followed by like the rest of the babyface army of Sky Blue and Will Nightingale and Riho with the pipe. Just one of the hilarious images that exists now on the internet. People immediately put her up there doing it, like Sting with the baseball bat,
yes,
all that shit. Like yes. It was great. I only wanted Riho to be in the denim also. That was the only other thing that I would have wanted, but didn't get it. That's okay. Riho got the pipe. And that was, not no reasons for Riho to hold the pipe. We know Riho's weapon. So you remember like in the video games, like what is the weapon? That's with this character. Riho has the pipe.
So I did not know about any of this segment until Saturday. I did not see the reaction to any of this. I'm just watching it, and I'm like, shit went left when Saraya got the mic, and then she dropped that I'm a Miracle, and that shit just staggered me and rocked me, and I was stammered for a minute, and I just couldn't. And then Riho runs down, and she runs down. I'm looking. Is that a lead pipe? And I'm like, I look at the size of the pipe, and I fucking start howling because it might be bigger than her triceps and biceps. And she clears the ring out, and I'm like, this is fucking hilarious. Like, this woman that we've always seen as nothing but just pleasant and happy and nice, and she's coming up to the ring she's coming down to the ring with a weapon to fuck shit up. She's ready to move furniture in this bitch. I was fucking done. It killed me. Rich, I have the pictures that you mentioned. I have sent to you the messenger if you would like to show to the for the stream and later for the clip of this. Man, it was hilarious. I could not. And like the pipe is so fucking big that like it's like I don't even know if like Rio had struggled going down the ramp with like the difference in balance with that thing. And it was great. It was great. Just fantastic.
So I'm showing Riho now with the pipe.
Yes, I see it. Yeah,
on the one part. I believe there's another photo here.
Yes.
Nope, that's another. That's a different
pipe,
one.
Like Sting with the bat.
Amazing.
Yeah, man. Just outstanding. Like this as a segment, if we were to grade it like as an actual regular rest segment, this is below C, right? The unintentional comedy that happened before
off the charts.
Through the Richter scale. Off the charts. Yeah, man. I don't know how anybody else viewed this thing as far as like outside of us that they laugh at this kind of stuff, but like it wasn't good objectively. Well, not good, but the parts of it was just fucking hilarious. And like, so it's a thumbs up for me, even though it should not be. It should not.
I'll take it.
Yes, I'll take it.
Especially like, some of the stuff they've been at it with. Yes. I do have the Roman Reigns audio of what he said to Cody Rhodes here.
Boy, so let's hear it.
You ran away. And what happened? You ran away, you started a company and a promotion that you couldn't get over in.
You couldn't get over. Oh, boy.
Well, the big dog not lying there.
Well, he did get over. He just couldn't get the belt.
He got over, but he couldn't stay over.
No. He got over, and then it was like, well, we want you to stay over as a heel. And he was like, well, I don't want to be a heel. Well, then get going, brother.
Hello. What was Cody's response? People were saying it was corny. It's Cody.
He's a white baby face. It's probably going to be something like all shucksian. It's gonna,
So after that, we have the 3-way trios match between the House of Black, the Elite, and the Jericho Appreciation Society. This whole thing was, it was the race to get Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega in the ring, and everybody spoiling it and, taking turns spoiling it or interrupting it. And a lot of stuff going on everywhere in this match. Just tons of moves, tons of face-offs in there. And I thought Kenny was really making this thing go. Crowd was really into him and Jericho. And the idea of seeing them in the ring, it was kind of this full circle kind of moment. Being in Winnipeg, Don's on commentary. And it was yeah, man, these guys had a fucking match at the Dome that fucking set the path for this shit. And here they are, the main event. This was pretty cool. And the match, I think, kind of went off the rails at the end and it went silent because I think people wanted one of those teams to win, but
of course,
I don't.
Of course.
So
of course,
they kind of got stuck there on that ending. But as far as what all this
that's
kind of set up,
to be fair, that's what, in similar fashion to the haluva kick to Roman after Roman wins, or The Rock laying out or Vince and Triple H after WrestleMania 16 is we know you were giving you the finish you didn't want, but we want to send you home happy, so let's do that. That's exactly what this was. The post match.
Yeah. So throughout the match, there's a brawl going on between Blackpool Combat Club and members of the Dark Order. They end up fighting their way down by the end. And they want to attack Hangman, and Hangman's in the ring. All of a sudden, Hangman is kind of left to 3-on-1, but he isn't alone because the Elite rise up behind him, and man, it was a great moment.
Now, Sir Sam gets a lot of shit about being into symbolism and storytelling in pro wrestling and being passionate about it. When you said that he was in there and he didn't realize that he thought he was alone, in my mind, the people that would dislike Sam in his tweets would be in Sam's voice, but little did he know he was never alone, crying emojis, right? Whatever. But yeah,
and
they
then
missed the time to get him to turn around and realize it, but it is what it is. We knew what they were going to set up. That you were going to stare at each other. They were going to go black. Crowd was into it. I do like this. The idea is funny, but the idea that Blackpool Combat Club and the Dark Order had been scrapping, and 8-Page had been scrapping the whole night from the first hour all the way to in the back. I also like the idea that Jon Moxley and John Silver are on concrete. Jon Moxley is on top of him, but Silver has full guard up. But nobody talked about how unbelievable it is that it looked on camera Jon Moxley was wrestling a little person, but you can't say that because one, John Silver's Raw, and two, John Silver's arms are bigger than Jon Moxley's. They don't
call him the Meat Man for no reason.
But it was funny that I noticed that, but if this had happened in 2019, people would have been uproar. Jon Moxley's out here fighting this little person. What the hell is this? This AEW is crap. No one said a word about this. Look, they won in that sense that because 4 years ago people would have been that's absurd that he didn't get destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I consider it a win. They would have been send him out there to get destroyed he's Lance Archer beating the hell out of Marco Stunt or something.
Yeah. So the whole thing goes at the end, BCC backs off from the Elite. They're hey, we're outnumbered, whatever. We're out of here. Heyman's going to turn around, but they cut off air. Yeah. I think they did that intentionally. But the cool thing with it, everybody sent out the photos. They were all kind of standing in the same kind of positions they were at Revolution Tag 2020. and I think the promotion even sent out like a AEW branded photo like of like shadows from that that specific event, but looks like it's going to lead into the Elite reformed in some form, but there still looks to be problems with Kenny Omega and Hangman Page because there's a change in the hierarchy that's going on and that hasn't really been addressed. Like Hangman's not a young boy. He's not a lower level guy anymore. So how they come to terms with that is kind of we'll see with that. And then of course,
does he want the IWGP US title?
He does not hold the IWGP US title.
No, I'm asking, does Adam Page want that?
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, you can get a crack and come get dropped with a one-ring angel. It's fine with that.
But there's also the Don Callis stuff swirling with Takeshita. There's Ibushi out there at any point. There's a lot of like
Ibushi been out here swirling around this promotion for like 4 years.
Bro, like all this shit is like, but it's like coming together now. Like it's actually like a possibility. Like now,
do you remember that fucking vignette thing that Omega had ran about New Japan bullying their relationship?
Yes. Yes.
Oh man.
So like there's a lot of Elite stuff going on. There's a great BTE episode today. I would highly advise anybody to check out that would care about such a thing. But BCC versus the Elite, this is what I wanted last year. So let's get to it and let's get these matches. Let's start pairing them off. Let's run it.
Yeah. If this is the Blood and Guts match, then yeah. And they finally
or Anarchy in the Arena, one of the two.
I mean, I would prefer it to be I would prefer it to be Blood and Guts because like the idea that like they get the match beyond with Cody going is just beautiful, beautiful. But yeah, it could be Anarchy in the Arena or whatever Moxie called it to not be the Stadium Stampede. Yeah, could be that too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a really hot program. Like, and they gotta. I'm interested in seeing what they do with it. So, like, the Elite story continues. Like,
yeah, and AEW badly needed this. Like, outside of MJF, really, there is no top story to follow in the promotion in the way that you can follow like what is going on with the Bloodline, what was what is going on with like Tam and Giulia, for example, in Stardom, and as much as I enjoy most of what they do on a week-to-week basis, like the long form story stuff is like was the best things they were doing in AEW at the start with like what was happening with basically the Hangman versus the Elite storyline. So yeah, I'm happy that they're going back to this, and I'm happy that they're doing it with Jon Moxley, who has two of the better rivalries in the promotion's history with Adam Page and Kenny Omega. So all of that's there at play.
And so does Bryan Danielson whenever he comes back.
And also the interplay of like, is he actually with them, or are they going to tease that he's not with them and then eventually reveal that like he is with them because like, because like he left and then they turn heel. So like that's also at play. Like all this stuff, they're adding layers to it. Like all that stuff, all the onions are there, or all the layers of the onion are there to peel over the weeks. Like I think they might be getting their swagger back.
Like you start adding in like your Danielsons or like Takeshita or Ibushi or all these people like Wheeler Yuta is going to get a chance to like mix in this stuff, and the Bucks will probably find their form in some form or fashion. And it's amazing that everybody had clamored for the Elite to face off against like CM Punk and like FTR. I'm like, Blackpool Combat Club is staring you right in the face with better wrestlers. Like, what are we talking about here? Like,
I mean, and look, that is still at play potentially, like in later in the year if all things whatever else, they're still there. I mean, look, if they are going to be heels, I mean, if CM Punk is going to come back and accept being a heel, go ahead and look. the Elite versus like, it's a way better version of like the, you know, what's going on with the AEW women's division versus like the outsiders or the ex-WWEers. It's a way better version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they actually have roots in the promotion. They've, you know, they've been champions. They've been ROH champions, AEW World Champions. They've been to finals for, you know, for winning the title and all that kind of stuff with like Claudio and Moxley and Danielson. Like, they have the scars where like you can, if you want to, you can root for them instead of the Elite if you want to, and it'll be really fine. The thing that's the problem with like this AEW women's thing versus like the WWE women in AEW is just like, it feels like they cooked this up to make you care as opposed to you care, and then and then you also have that story that you can reach into. So yeah, it's just, obviously, you know, they could do that. And look, CM Punk with Moxley and Danielson and Claudio, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. But yeah, whatever. Like, you know, whatever they want to do. Right now, they have the germ of something that could be great. They absolutely do.
So yeah, let's. I guess that was AEW Dynamite. So there's only one thing left for me to do, and that is hit the music. Stardom.
Okay, so last weekend they had their first show since the Triangle Derby final. It was in Korakuen Hall, and I thought this show got them off to a great start on the road towards Yokohama Arena, for like setting into place like things in motion, get you interested in matches that are already on the card, and have you interested in like the road, especially like Himeka's retirement road, which we'll talk about, as far as like some of the matches they've already had, some of the matches that happened this past weekend that aren't up yet, but like the big heat around that, building up the main event, and also other matches that like they have down the road. It's they're like all the stuff that I complained about with like, they did this trios tournament, and it's in the way of like them building towards stuff. It's out the way, and they're like, just, we know we didn't do it for 2 months. We're about to just give it all to you right now, James. And I was really happy for it. So, at this Korakuen Hall, it was 8 matches. One of them was not put up and uploaded because it involves Fuwa. Now, I don't think we've really talked about Fuwa on the show yet, but she is a internet personality, YouTuber that is like super famous, like one of the like top biggest like internet personalities in Japan. She started training to do a match a few months ago, did one in Stardom that was on a pre-show on a pay-per-view that like it didn't get aired. It was on dark. It was like on before the dark matches, and she was tagging with Hazuki versus Kamatani, and I think it was like Hina. And they can't air her stuff because like her stuff has TV rights to somewhere else. Like, she's that big of a star. She has like own TV show shit. So this match is not allowed to be aired yet, so it has been uploaded, but she's not in the match, but like she basically comes out and like says that she wants to be at Yokohama Arena and wants to wrestle there. So we'll see what the match is, but yeah. So 7 matches, or 8, but 7 that we were able to see. The opener is a 3-way number 1 contendership for the future belt, Ami's future belt. It is Miyu Amasaki versus Hina and Rina. So it's, 2 Queen's Quest, but it's also the 2 of the sisters, and it's a lot of conflict and battling between like what's more important, the sisterhood or actual, the real sisterhood. of Queen's Quest or of being sisters. And ultimately at the end, Hina seemingly has the match won over Amasaki, but then Hina runs in and lays out Hina, and Rina is the winner. So she will get number one contendership match against the winner of later in the show, the future belt match between Ami and Lady C. So, second match is Kaguma, Momokogo. Actually, I'm sorry, it's a three-way tag match. It's Kaguma, Momokogo versus We Love Tokyo Sports, Saki and Death, and Ram Kaicho and Micah, who are still around on the tour. So it's a comedy match. They start the match, and Kaguma is doing the bearism, and Ram. At first, I didn't know what was happening, but second time when they do it after the match, I realized that like she was playing dead because like it's a wives' tale that like if you play dead, bears won't attack you; they'll leave you alone because they don't want a dead body or something like that. So they start doing comedy, and at the end, Death ends up rolling up Momokogo with O'Connor roll and stuck the tongue out like Jordan, of course. So.
Yes, sir.
So at this point, I think this is when you start, you tuned in, right? Yeah. So you get the Futures Belt match. You get Ami Sourei versus Lady C. This is Lady C's first singles title match. And they had the press conference for this, and she talked about like how badly she wanted to win, and how she is. She's like she's really into, obviously, it's not as, like, I don't want to say pathetic. It's not as, it's more dignified than Waka's. But, like, you still feel the same thing. Like, we've seen her get her ass whooped for 2 years at this point. There's still time for her to win the belt before the 3-year window closes. It would be nice to see her, given that she's improved so much over her first year to now, to see if what she could do in a titles match situation. And like they had a really good match. Like they first trade off chops, and they start trading off like the Kibashi machine gun chops Kojima machine gun chops in the corner, and ultimately at the end, Ami just proved to be the better big woman wrestler and put her away with the Gonzo bomb and got the win. But like I thought that like Lady C showed a lot of heart, and the crowd really wanted to see her win. But I thought it was a good match. I gave it 3 flat stars.
Big choke slam from Lady C
for a near fall. Yeah,
I was gonna say this is like wow with Himeka on the way out of the promotion. Like this is like Michael fighting Himeka, but like less experience. Like this is like the new version of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's also another thing when we haven't been covering Triangle Derby was that like Lady C was teaming with Himeka and Micah. And if you remember in Tag League, she also was forced to an odd couples tag team with Mai Sakurai, who she didn't like because like she didn't like how Mai double cross Cosmic Angels to join Don Armando. So like she's tagged with a DDM member in the Tag League. She tagged with, another DDM tag team in Triangle Derby. So like Micah's like, you like us, don't you? How about you join Donna Del Mondo and we change your name to Lady D? And like, so like throughout the tournament, it's been a lot of like, at first she's like, absolutely not. I love Queen's Quest. I would not do that. Even though like when a lot of people thought that, and I thought like she was going to end up in like Donna Del Mondo or something like that as like a penny for them. But like maybe with Himeka leaving, that opens up a spot for her there. And as you mentioned, like they've done the work to get it to that point, and like they have talked about like slowly, like she's unsure where she's going to end up, but she's going to give a decision eventually on where if she's going to stay or leave. But good match. So Ami, if you put Ami in there with someone competent, she's going to have a good match. I don't know if she's going to ever reach the level like Hannon was at that point, because that was But her next title defense is going to be, I don't know when it is, but like it's going to be versus Rina. So like that should be good. So then you get the tag match. You get God's Eye, Shuri and Mariah versus
Momo and Kid.
Momo and Kid of Oedo Tai. I forgot Oedo Tai, blanked. So, match is pretty standard. It's pretty much a singles match between Mirai and Kid, who had a really good match at the Grand Prix last year, and Momo and Shuri, who they're always good together. And ultimately at the end, you have Mirai coming down at the end and getting the pin on Kid, and then Kid played it up like it was no big deal, and then they went head to head. And like I'm sensing like they're both jockeying for real estate and like inside track to get to that white belt between both of them, and I like that. But yeah, I thought it was a really good match. I ended up giving this 3 3/4.
Yeah, that's probably what I give it to. I think Momo and Starlight Kid are so fun together as a team. Like Starlight Kid really had her working boots on as far as like going like top speed. Like she wasn't slowing down for shit in this match. So then Shuri's just kind of hanging out in the cut.
Yeah. Like remember I'll tell you about like there's this gigantic big goofball side of Shuri.
Yep. The
second that her shoulders were pinned to that mat for 3 in Sumo Hall, it just came back. Like the first show back was the first night for
Triangle
Derby, and I was there. And they showed the player intros, and she's in there like just dancing and goofing around. I was like, oh, Goofball Shuri is back. Like over the show after this, her and like Mayu are like playing tag post match. Like it like you'll see it more and more. Like it's not like a bad thing. She still has great matches or whatever, but like you just see more of her personality as opposed to just like I'll kill you. Mm-hmm. So it's fun. But yeah, I thought Mirai was really, really into this match, had a lot of juice, run off the ropes and all that kind of stuff. And like her and Kid are really good together. But yeah, really good match. So, as I mentioned, the Stars versus Damo Amano match wasn't uploaded because of the Fua situation. It'll be uploaded eventually. And if it's worth anything, we'll talk about it then, but it's not. But, the gist of it is that Fua announces after the match that she wants to participate in the Yokohama Arena. So there's that. So then you end up getting, Tam, Mina, and Mariah May versus Queen's Quest, Utami, Kamatani, and Azumi. And, we've talked about this before, but like the initial worries about like Mariah's inclusion in the Stardom, the lack of guidance we've had. She's good. She's always, every time she's been in these tag matches, she's been good. She's been competent. She holds up her end of the bargain. That's all I'm asking for her. She holds up her deal. So, like, I don't know if people's opinions have changed on her or not or whatever else. I hope they have in that like, reluctance to, have actual guidance that don't speak the language like Tekla in. So yeah, like she's good with me. She's good for me for the long run. She keeps this up. Another good match. Her and, you pretty much had Tam and Utami have a section of the match where they, suplex each other and no sell, and it was awesome. And then, you have the beginning session of Mina and Kamatani, and they're selling you on the match, and like they keep getting better and better together. They really do.
Like people think it's a game with Kamatani, like it's all pretty in here. Nah, man. Like she'll just hit you in the face with the elbow or the punch, like she beat the shit out of fucking Mina in this match. Like, bow, just straight in the face. Just, I loved it.
Yeah, they were great together. They've done this before. Obviously, when they had their match, getting out of Grand Prix, like selling the match, like they're getting better and better. And like, obviously, I think that match that they had was like approaching 4 stars, but it wasn't like one of the better Kamatani defenses at that time. I think this is where they have their best match together, and like they kill it. And obviously they're both looking for that. And, hopefully nerves don't get the best of Kamatani and all this stuff. But yeah, like, I don't know who's going to win. A lot of people expect Mina to win this. I'm not so sure, but given like, the pay-per-view immediately after this in Fukuoka, and who could be potential, people they want to put in a big spot to win a belt there or whatever else. But yeah, either way, I expect them to have a great match, and better than the one they had, before the unfortunate incident at the end. But yeah, I end up giving this 3 3/4 like a lot. And then you end up getting the semi-main event, Himeka Retirement Road, Himeka versus Natsupoi, and they start the match. Let me start again. When they had the press conference for this match, they both sit down at the table about a foot away from each other, and neither one of them can look at each other, like turn their head, look at each other, looking both straight forward, like so. Like both my hands are both facing like this, and the camera is showing Himeka, and Himeka is like, you can see on her face like she's waiting to hear an apology of some sort, and Natsupoi is like looking around and looking down and looking guilty and looking like, do you want me to say something? Because I followed my heart and I don't feel like I owe you an apology. So after some awkward silence there and they're sitting together, Himeka stands up and says, well, I guess there's nothing left to say. She sticks her hands out and for a handshake, and then Natsupoi stood up and shook her hand, and they walked off, and it was awkward. So they meet at this match. They shake hands. And they shook hands, and after they shook hands, Himeka slapped the shit out of Natsupoi.
Yeah.
And then Natsupoi slapped the shit out of her back, and then it went back and forth with big-ass slaps, and then the match basically broke down into a natural storytelling that is Himeka is so much bigger and so much stronger than her, and she overwhelms her with size, and most Himeka matches is she's going to body slam you, and then she's going to like put a knee into your back, and she's going to get a single leg crab and try to work over your back to try to get to the torture rack. And tried and true Himeka fashion, did all that. And since Triangle Derby, Natsupoi is added in these rolling arm bars and like flash finish arm bars for submissions, and she ends up getting Himeka in compromised position with the bad left arm, and you get to a point to where like she has her up for the rack, and she grabs the left arm, turns into a rolling armbar, end up on the ground, and I believe at a later point gets the armbar again, and Himeka has to like basically like clean jerk her up and then powerbomb her. It was awesome, and ultimately big moves back and forth, and Natsupoi gets one last grasp at the arm. Rolling arm bar, gets it, and Himeka is forced to tap out. I gave this 4 stars. I really like this match. It was really good, and like it's a match that I had wanted. Like the second that she left, Donna El Mondo was like, I need to see these brackets for who's in what block, because like I'm scheduling that. Ultimately, it was Natsupoi and Giulia in the blue block together, but I'm glad we got this still.
Yeah, this is a very heated personal match. I'd like to thank Himeka for inflicting that pain and that punishment, even though you had to submit at the end. I appreciate it personally for you taking out your frustrations on this untrustworthy individual in Natsupoi. And just one more for Himeka on the road. You gotta put her over. I get it.
We'll talk about it on the show after this. But yeah, I mean, it's Natsupoi and Himeka are not done on this retirement tour. There's a lot more in store.
Gotcha. So maybe the game will come back to Himeka.
It already has. So, the main event. Goddess of Stardom tag team title match. Nanai and Yu versus BMI, or 7-Up, that's the name of the tag team, versus BMI 2000, Natsuko Tora and Roaka. And I already had a presumption that this match was going to be at the least very good, because their match on the final night of the tag tag league was very good. This match, I have a foggy memory because it was so long ago. This match may have been equal or may have been a little bit better because of like Roaka, the storyline of Roaka staying and hanging in and kicking out of stuff at the end. But same thing, big, strong, tough women beating the shit out of each other, and Roaka having to hang in there versus you and and kick out of stuff versus Nanai as well. And and like ultimately they had to pull out the kitchen sink to put them away. And like a showing of heart that like you rarely see from Oedo Tires outside of Starlight Kid or Momo Watanabe. It was refreshing in that way. I really enjoyed this match. I'd probably go, I'm debating on giving this 4, but I'm not. I'm just going to go 3 3/4.
Yeah, I don't know if I go that. I'd probably go like 3.5, but
okay.
This is the best match I've ever seen Nasco Tour in, like involved in. This was a lot of like big people falling on each other at the end.
Throwing weight around.
It was like who's gonna stand up, who's gonna have some left at the end. I don't anticipate Nanai and you losing before at least the Waka match, at least, which, you know, go Waka. Like, let's get this W, Waka. But yeah, I enjoyed this match too.
Yes. So I like the way you utilizes her weight in the way where it's like, I don't know if you watched it, but like a lot of people, like during the G1 last summer, were like, when Bronson Reed, like the crowd would like, you could hear like the crowd like change when like Bronson Reed like approached that top rope for the big splash. Like when you gets on that second rope, the crowd is like, oh. The game finna change. Like the momentum is finna stop or the match finna end. And she splashed Rawaka once, and then she got back up there again and did the whole like jump on the rope thing, like the hype the crowd was into it. I don't think I've ever, like you mentioned, like you think this might be the best NASCAR match you've ever seen. It's up there. As far as it's up there for me too as well. I've never heard a crowd react to a NASCAR match like this outside of maybe like the retirement match with Hazuki in 2019. That's it. Like this stuff with Nanai and you, like once the bell rings, it always gets over. Always. Mm-hmm. Is really interesting that way. So after the match, they asked for who's going to be next challengers, and I didn't really think of who it could be, but like Ami and Mirai walk out, and Mirai won a tag match earlier in the show. Ami won the Futures belt, and they challenged them for Yokohama Arena. So you're going to get a dandy. You're basically going to get Nanai and you versus like the new Maihime. So that's going to be fun. I think that's the perfect place to put them over, or to change titles right there. So yeah, for the Nanai Detractors, this was a very successful title run, or it still is, or whatever. They've had one of the better title reigns in the promotion's history. Like to get a 3.5 star, 3 3/4 star match out of Nasco Tori and Rawaka, that's achievement unlocked. That's not easy
in the
to
main
do.
event.
Not many have. Right, and then they've had some killer, they've had killer matches in the tournament. They had killer defenses as well. They are absolutely one of the better tag teams in this promotion's history in this short era, or in this short run that they've had so far of the month. So yeah, moving on to 311. I'm just going to skip to the main event. The main event is Tam and Natsupoi versus Maihime. And I have been waiting for this match for like 8 months. And they obviously didn't build the match out to like try to go out there and have a pay-per-view match. They went out there to have a house show main event match, and it was damn good. And this was the night after, or the day after, the singles match between Natsupoi and Himeka. So, the match was mostly just basically a singles match between Natsupoi and Himeka with Tam and Micah in there sparingly and mostly fighting each other out on the outside. And they picked up where they left off. Bad back from Natsupoi, bad left arm of Himeka. Ultimately, at the end, Himeka gets her up and drops her with the running powerbomb and pins Natsupoi. So, this man's fist pumping.
Yes.
Yeah, but this match was great. I ended up giving this 4 flat stars. And like, Natsupoi is really good with these like shorts, 2 like 1-off or 2-off series. Like you think of the Tam and Natsupoi stuff from last year, from last summer, and this, and it's like, I think they should do more of these like short series things with people. It livens up the card at the top. It can save them from having to with a singles match or whatever else, non-title. It saves them from having to blow a defense records out of proportion or anything like that. I think they should invest in this more, or try this more often throughout the year. But yeah, great match. And outside of that, though, that show was just a show. But like, they really tried on that Korakuen, and they tried to, they went out there and had a bunch of quality matches. But that main event from the day after was really good. So,
right.
As I mentioned, with the Natsupoi and Himeka stuff being full of more matches, they had a match this weekend at KBS in KBS Hall in Kyoto, like famous for like that
Dragon Gate joint.
The Dragon Gate joint that has the painted that looks like church.
Yeah.
With the stained glass everywhere. Yes. Like they go there once a year, it seems. So that's where they did that. They end up doing Himeka and Giulia versus Tam and Natsupoi. I believe that I did not see the match, obviously not up, but like they show post match like Tam and Natsupoi celebrating, the music playing, so I'm assuming they won. And then Giulia runs in, shoves the belt into Tam's face. Tam snaps, hits her with a I don't know why Giulia thought she could do this. She shoved the belt in Tam's face and walked away like I forgot who it was, but there was somebody used to say something like, I did this to you and you didn't do nothing. Like, Giulia thought that she was going to hold Tam and just walk away and Tam wasn't going to do shit, right? So Tam grabs her, German suplexes her on her dome, and then gets over the top of her, slaps the shit out of her, and then, like, grabs a pair of scissors, goes out the ring, grabs a pair of scissors, walks back in, cuts a section of Giulia's hair off, and then like Natsupoi and Mai are trying to pull her off, and ain't nothing doing. She throws them both off of her.
Crazy.
And then the ref, Daichi tries to grab it. She throws Daichi to the ground, and then she grabs the red belt, holds it in the air, and holds the hair, and puts a foot on top of Giulia's chest, and poses for the cameras. And I was like, now that is how you go home. That is how you go home for the go home show of WrestleMania right there. They got 35 more days in this shit, Rich. How is they gonna keep this hot?
Control yourself, Tam. Crazy.
So they clip it. They put it on. They put it on the domestic account. On the foreign account. I'm assuming they put it on the domestic account. Did huge numbers as far as reactions. People loved it. Are really into this match. There are some people that probably were like, I don't know about them doing this match again. And to them, I would say, shut the fuck up. Like, this is their 6th match in like what will be 1,000 days. I think it's okay. So, and no one would say anything when like, Shuri and Utami had their 7th match in far less time just recently, but whatever. So, they then follow up and show a clip of the post-match promo in Stardom. Let y'all know, I'm sure Rich knows this. They do not translate shit from the post-match comments officially. Normally it is Dana online that translates it, or Shigeo that translates it. Someone else is doing the translation for them into English. The post-match stuff, like backstage. Not this time. They grabbed her words, Tam's promo, and it's her backstage looking out of her mind with Natsupoi.
Like, she just got out of a car crash and she's like yelling at somebody like, how could you crash my car like this, or something like that?
Yeah, she's furious, right? Like, so I have the translation here, and Giulia, and like she's screaming at the top of her lungs. She's screaming like so loud that she's getting hoarse in like this little section of like a minute 15 seconds promo. And she yells, "Giulia, do you know how I felt ever since I took your hair 2 years ago? I became the champion, but all anyone ever said was Giulia, 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 like Marsha. And he says, the more your hair grew back, the more it drove me crazy. As she says, the more it drove me crazy, she starts slapping herself in the face.
Like she's Terry Funk or something.
This is like Ric Flair when he would gig himself.
Flair. Yeah.
Yes. So at this point, Natsupoi is just, watching her cut the promo, and she like recognizes how furious Tam is saying all this stuff. And like Natsupoi is like low-key scared of like how mad this woman is. And she like is trying to calm her down, a pat on the back, tries to grab her arm. Tam's not having the arm grab until like later in the promo.
Get your goddamn hands off me.
Yeah. And she keeps going, and she says, this time on April 23rd, I will beat you and take everything you got. You'll be the one to crawl through hell, and don't you forget it. She screwed up. And she walks off from Natsupoi, and Natsupoi was like, what the
She was
fuck?
stuck there for like another like couple seconds, like Kel Mitchell after Keenan walks away.
Yes.
But like
Totally here it
different.
goes, yes.
Yeah.
She was shook. Man, look, I have often told you that I thought that Tam Nakano was one of the best storytellers in professional wrestling. I think, the history of us talking about Stardom kind of bears that out to be not just, if you watched it and with a fair amount, I think you would be like, yo, she's way up there. Like when she ends up the last 2 years on getting honorable mention on best promos while cutting these promos in Japanese and being the only Japanese person on Observer for best promo honorable mention, I find it hilarious. She sold this match. Like if you have any idea of the things these two have done to each other over since 2020, and then you see that they're having another match, and then you see that, and then you see that promo. Like, if this had happened on AEW, we'd be talking about this for like 2 weeks. Or like, we'd be talking about this for a week. Like, this would be like one of the biggest things that we clip up and talk about and be like, this is fucking awesome, and I can't wait for this match. And I'm already there, but like, this is like, this was great. This is great, and like, I can't wait to see how Giulia gets her heat back and what they do, because like they're not done building this match. They got about to
escalate this violence.
And they started with this. This was a go home show angle.
I wonder if they're gonna do a stipulation match.
Look, if there wasn't a blood mandate in this promotion, this would be some type of no DQ match where they definitely get double juice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost unfortunate they already did the hair versus hair. Like, I don't know. Like, that's always great. Well, unless it's in America. But America, and also the woman part of it makes it so much of a bigger thing, right? Because like in Joshi, when a woman gets their hair cut, normally the loser loses, but like over time becomes bigger because of it. That's why they did the whole thing. Like they wanted Giulia to get to where she is now. It worked.
It absolutely worked. And like,
look, Tam, I recognize this energy from Tam. When I was, listening to No Way Out at the end of Been Around the World, there was a gentleman named the Mad Rapper. I
got more John Blaze shit in that.
Yes, yeah. She's like saying, "I have more John Blaze and shit." Like, where the fuck are you going on this train? Like, why are you climbing up these mountains with kids, Giulia? Like, Tam is the Mad Rapper.
Look, this is awesome.
Do that shit on the train, James.
This is awesome. It's absolutely reheated this thing. And like, I can't wait to see like what they do to over the next like month to get to whatever the final act of this is. But it's going. I'm like they look. I'm going wherever they go. Like these two. After I saw this and saw that promo, like in my mind, I was thinking to myself like, what do I have over this all time as far as not what is the best, but what is my favorite, like, fuse rivalries of all time? I still haven't, like, thought about it thoroughly, but, like, it's gotta be top 5 for me by this point in time. And by the end of this, when they have another classic, more likely than not, it's gonna be submitted. Like, I'll probably have to look through Chad's rivalry book, best rivalry all time book, to see where I would like to get to look through that kind of stuff and add in stuff like Hangman versus the Elite, Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega, that sort of stuff. But yeah, man. And obviously like New Japan stuff, like Okada versus Omega, that kind of stuff. But like, not saying it's necessarily better than some of the all-time greatest feuds of all time, because I think it's an all-time great feud. Do I think it's like Kobashi and Misawa? No. But like, as far as things that I've enjoyed more than this, there ain't many things. And we got the audio to prove that. But yeah, it's way up there, and I'm gonna try and figure it out like over the next month or so. But I'm all in, and I look at what this card is shaping up to be, and this is going to be a show of the year contender, and like more, and a great chance to be one of the greatest shows of all time.
You gonna write something up for the for this show, or
no?
What's the deal?
Maybe we'll see if I can come up with an angle that doesn't seem like because like when I wrote the Tam and Mayu thing, like a great deal of that is covering Giulia and Tam up to the hair match.
Gotcha.
I think there is I think I could write something and focus on like what they did to each other last year, and stealing faction partners from each other. The kind of shit that Giulia, the kind of hell that Giulia was putting into, and all the losses she had on pay-per-view until winning the Grand Prix to get back to Shuri, them both chasing Shuri and both failing at first. There's stuff there. I got a month. I'll probably procrastinate and then like think of writing it like a week from on the last week. We'll see.
Yeah.
But it's definitely there, and like it's I love this thing, and so. To continue on with the Himeka retirement role stuff, like the edit from the Korakuen Hall show for some reason was just like, it was match. There was no entrances. The only promo that was left on was like the main event promo at the end. But after Natsupoi tapped out Himeka, she said that like, she mentioned like, do you remember this particular match from Actress Girls when they first were, the promotion they first came from? And I believe they're going to run that match at the joint Start or Bushiroad Wave show that they're doing. Himeka wanted to do a show in Pro Wrestling Wave, and like, based on the schedule, the only way they can do it is after Yokohama Arena, like a couple days after. So they're going to do it there, and I'm assuming that's the final match. Like, it's Miyuki Takase, who you've heard me talk about as far as being one of the better freelancers in Joshi, and Natsupoi, and Himeka, and another person that's also from Actress Girls. Like, Natsupoi, Miyuki, and Himeka were always like this, or a 3 version of this. So like, it makes sense that like would be one of her last matches on the way out. So yeah, man, a lot of really cool things they're doing with like Stardom and building up, and with Himeka coming out and making this retirement tour feel special. They back. Like, it was 2 month malaise with that term, but they back now.
Zekamaki said, who's booking the Himeka Wave show? And also, did we talk about Ice Ribbon?
We did not talk about Ice Ribbon, but we can. I'm not sure who is booking the show, but at the press conference for it, Gammy was there. Gammy, ex RCN wrestler, who, obviously the promotion that Rossi was running with Aja Kong back in the day. She runs Wave. Wave's more of a comedy promotion now. So like they had Gammy there, and they also had Sakura Hirota. Sakura Hirota is like the parody wrestler that dresses up like the other wrestlers. Like she'll dress up as Kana and then wrestle Kana. And she'll have big boobs, big fake boobs. she'll dress up as was it Chigusa Nagayo, and then wrestled Meiko Satomura in front of Chigusa Nagayo for funsies. Like, she does that. She does all sorts of shit like that. So, some people think that, like, she's like a comedic wrestling genius. I think she's kind of just there, but be polite. But she was also there at the press conference. So, like, they're going to give you the full wave experience, whatever that is. Just, like, get that shit out the way and then do the final match for him, or this final match for Mecha. And then, obviously, the Yokohama Arena match is her versus Micah. So, yeah. Lots of good matches from Mecha on the way out. As far as Ice Ribbon.
All I've heard, James, is that Giulia is right. Or Giulia was right. This is all what I'm gathering. I saw some of this stuff. I don't really know all the characters and all this stuff, but it seems like Giulia was right, and there should be some apologies.
Okay, so Giulia left. And,
ain't no money over here.
Yeah. So Giulia left. The things that I remember from Giulia, because Giulia has written things for like Pro Wrestling Weekly or Pro Weekly, whatever, it's Shoe Pro. Like, she has a regular column there, like monthly or at a certain recurrence. And some of the stuff was things like, I wanted to work on, I wanted to put more investment into my body and getting my physique on point. And, like, I couldn't do that while also working a job, while also being a wrestler. Stardom's the only place I could go where I could, like, be a full-time wrestler. So that's why I went there. That's one of the things she said. And then she also talked about, like, she also aired some dirty laundry, amongst the wrestlers, talking about how, like, Tsukasa Fujimoto, who was, like, I believe was the head trainer, was the ace at one point, like, would not wrestle Risa Sera at all for a certain amount of time, and still hasn't since a particular amount of time because they have such bad blood, and other things along the way. Then obviously last year you had like the news that like 4 of their top 5 were all leaving at the same time. Basically, like Maya Yuki, who was their ace in 2018/19, left to freelance, or went to freelance and will come back and do dates occasionally. Hasn't done dates in a long time. Risa Sera left for prominence. Suzuki left for prominence. Sakushi retired to become a veterinarian. And then, like, Tsukasa went on hiatus because she just recently gave birth and had a kid. But we don't know if she's ever coming back. She's still around. Like, when I was at the show at Ribbon Mania, she was in the back. And she was also like there with the merch and all that kind of stuff, but like we don't know if she's coming back. So like the whole entire a whole entire generation of Ice Ribbon, like of their top stars, all gone in like the span of from Giulia left 2019 to 2021 at the end, all gone. And so like they didn't have anybody that could actually make the top champion. So like they end up putting it on Sei Ariano, an ex at-rest girls wrestler, really close with Natsupoi. Remind a lot of people of Natsupoi before she tied her hair blonde. She's bigger, Ano. But like, they made a freelancer champion, and then at Ribbon Mania, the show I went to, like in the main event was challenger Asai. They had the match, Asai lost, and like I thought, like, okay, well, she's going to challenge her again later and eventually win and get redemption. Not quite, because she transferred and has been loaned out to at-risk girls, a place where she was already like doing heel work in. So like she's like, just transfer me over here. I just want to be a heel over there. I don't want to fuck with y'all. Mm-hmm. And she's just there. And then another wrestler like also is just is leaving, but doesn't know if she's going to retire or just leave. And like that also like at that Ice Ribbon show, like Suzu was at that show to like do someone's retirement match. Who also was getting like title shots where she didn't compete Ano either. Like, so they lost basically like at least 2 future ace candidates. A year after losing good. 4 of the top 5 or maybe 5 of the top 5.
Like, that's only good if you have like The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin to like follow them up.
Yeah. And so,
typically,
yeah. So, like a lot of people had the, reasonings for thinking like this could work out well. Like, okay, Suzu and Risa, they want to do deathmatch stuff. Ice Ribbon couldn't draw with that kind of stuff. Maybe if we move on from them, they'll draw better numbers. Now they have no established top stars, and now like the people they put in the main events to be the future stars, they're also fucking leaving or retiring. Before, like last year, they were a distant number 3. Sorry,
it sounds like they about to fold it up, brother.
So last year they were distant number 3. Ain't no 3-bit. it's 2 labels, Rich. The prevailing theme has ruled again. It is Stardom. It is Tokyo Joshi Pro. It is 2 labels.
2 labels.
Yeah. So, the Joshi scene right now outside of Stardom, Tokyo Joshi Pro, is basically just like everybody that's good that you want to see. For the most part, are all freelancers. And are they going to be doing interesting things in programs with other people at the top of main events having great title matches? Who knows? They're just likely to do that, or they're less likely to do that than they are to be doing goofy comedy shit. So you don't know, or death matches. So you don't know what's going to happen. And at this point, like, you got Noah. They're having women's matches or whatever else. If they start a division, I feel like a lot of like the people that were doing Nomads are going to end up over there, because like all those matches are like people that were in Nomads. Mayuki was in Nomads. Natsumure was in Nomads. Jungle was set to be in Nomads 3, but she's going to wrestle that out, and then she's going to get her knee done again. Hey. I don't know if you saw her interview, but Jungle's knee thing is just basically like she got her knee done. And the stitching that was holding her shit stable, holding her like meniscus down, popped out. So then she had to go get another surgery again, and then it popped out again. So she has to go get a 3rd surgery. So like this might be her last match, this Nomads 3 show.
Well,
she's not calling it retirement, but like it very well could be her last match ever.
Writing's on the wall.
Yeah.
Since Noah has no problem pushing old people and bringing old people in, need to go ahead and bring Aja Kong in, just like they had Muto in there. And let's go ahead and get this GHC Women's Championship.
So
strap her up.
So next week, we'll cover Tokyo Joshi Pro Grand Slam Princess. I didn't have time to watch it because like I was too busy like getting disappointed by Jake Lee at 2 a.m. in the morning to watch that. But I heard good things. You know how it is with Pro. So, but we'll see. Like I already know all the spoilers for the most part in like the last 2 matches. Like new champions wearing the shirt of a new champion. But we'll cover that next week in at least the matches that were like really good. We'll cover like we're not like if
next week we should probably have like a WrestleMania preview too.
Yeah, we'll have all that. We'll have all that.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the end of the show.
Yeah, announcement here. So like we don't have a date yet, but Swerve Strickland is going to come on One Nation Radio in the near future.
Does he want to do the WrestleMania preview?
Doubt it. That would be an interesting show.
It sure would.
But he's going to be on. We're going to talk to him about wrestling. We're going to talk to him about his new album. I produced some songs on there, so ask him some questions and stuff like that. I don't know if that's going to be a regular episode, if we're going to do that, shoot that on like a side or whatever, but that's going to be in the near future.
Okay. Any other announcements?
Nah, just keep downloading the show on the show feed and buy the album. That's all y'all need to do. Keep fucking with your boys.
So that's the end of the show. Be sure to rate us wherever you're using and listen to this. If you're watching from the stream, you can go to the PayPal and the Cash App and donate there. If you are listening from the podcast, you can go to the show notes or show description, and you can go to the link to our red circle, and donate there. And be sure to listen to other shows on the network. Besides One Nation Radio, you have Keepin It Strong Style, the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, Grown Men Watch This Shit, the Grave Consequences Podcast, 8-Bit Suplex, Get in the Ring, All Things Elite, Great Match Generator, and Meet the Press Slam. Thanks for listening, y'all. Hey, we went really long, so Jake Lee, you were spared. You were spared. Don't you ever go out there for 36 minutes and waste more time than Jay White ever again.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up, bro.
Yeah. Later, y'all.
Peace.
Lowe's knows how to get your lawn ready for spring. And right now, you can get up to $20 off select Scott's Triple Action Fertilizer. Plus, get a Cobalt 40-volt 15-inch string trimmer or leaf blower. Your choice, $149, only at Lowe's. Get set for spring. Visit us in-store or online today, because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid 3/9 through 3/22. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
I never thought I'd care about gardening until I bought a house in the suburbs. But now I find myself in conversations about liquid fertilizer, and I wonder, am I the fertilizer guy now? No way. Everyone knows the ratio between phosphorus and nitrogen, right? Yeah, I'm still totally cool.
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided in service by affiliates and third-party insurers.